Welcome to the Gibberfish Podcast.
Well, we may be about to steal a segment from another podcast, but we were talking gibberish, aren't we, Dom?
Absolutely, we're back once again.
Yeah.
Stealing shit from other podcasts.
This week, we will be stealing from the HD podcast. Ethan and Neil Klein of HD Productions.
Yep.
I've been a big fan for a while.
Yep.
Fell off of it a little bit, and then got back into it because they were one of the few people dealing with Trisha Paytas at the time.
Yeah, that was a difficult podcast to make it through. I never listened to the full thing, but what I did listen to was just most of them going, I think you're a dick. But you're sitting having this, they say it in a nice way. Like, Colin, I think you're an utter cunt. You're saying it in a nice way. Like, what is fucking wrong with you?
I think they need to find the constructive way to do it because they have the high ground. Obviously, they have the high ground over in that situation. Just to give someone a brief rundown, Trisha Paytas is an American YouTuber who has been just riding waves of controversy for years now, trying to grow the channel, and she has basically been on the wrong side of everything. And in the last couple of weeks, she decided to come out as trans. Now, normally when a YouTuber does this, it's met with open arms by LGBT community because they want another voice out there. They want another representative, somebody who could join the cause, raise awareness, and help people out in that way. And it's generally quite well received, except for when Trisha Paytas did it, because everyone was like, I don't think so.
Yeah, didn't she come out as a gay man?
Yeah, she came out as
for a woman to come out as a gay man. Isn't that just a woman coming out as a woman?
In the most convoluted way possible.
I am woman and I like man. That's according to the Bible. That's how it's meant to be. What the fuck are you bringing to the table?
I guess that means you're somewhere in the spectrum of something. I don't know. But she came out and nobody really believed what she was going through. So when they challenged her on it and said, "Okay, what's part of your what's your trans experience?" The answer was basically, "I feel like I have a masculine brain." And for those of you who've not seen, she is a particularly...
She's a hole in her brain.
Several, from the meth. So she...
Yeah, there was that as well.
The admission that she does meth didn't help any of this. And it was weird that I was texting you as I was going through it saying, okay, so I'm listening to the Trisha Paytas thing. She is talking about all this experience and how that she feels like she's a man trapped in a woman's body, despite having a very womanly body. And despite extending it into like a cartoonish version of Marilyn Monroe. That actually, fun enough, I saw I'm a big fan of Rare Insults on Reddit, and they have a one of Trisha Paytas where it described her as, if you asked a half-blind kid from another country to describe what an American looks like, this is what they would draw. And I'm like, yeah, it pretty much is. She's extra curvy, big fake lips, big fake hair, like bottle blonde, everything, and just horrific to look at for more than 30 seconds. But she basically has made this weird statement where her identity is expressed incredibly feminine, despite the fact that she says she has masculine energy, and all of her trans experience is located in this masculine energy that she seems to think she projects. I don't get it. I don't think anyone did, and I
don't think she gets it.
That's why the community rebuttal was so harsh towards her, and HD had her on to kind of give her time to talk it out and maybe try and make some sense of it. It did not work. I think that's fair to say. And yeah, I stayed around for a couple episodes after the Trisha Paytas thing because I was like, okay, I remember this. This feels comfortable and safe, and been looking for new podcasts to talk about. So I decided to give HD another go. And a couple of episodes later, they debuted a segment called Cunt of the Year, which, not gonna lie, their pick is pretty good. It's a Brazilian pop star Instagram type personality who went to, I think it was Disney World or Disneyland, one of those facilities, and did the usual Instagram thing of, oh guys, I'm here, I'm out here at Disneyland, it's so fantastic, it's a blessing, thank you for helping me get here, it's been a dream of mine since a boy, blah blah blah. But look at this kid behind me.
I'm slightly taken aback that he said boy.
What?
He said, I've been doing about this since I was a boy.
It was a guy.
Alright, I'm slightly surprised that the Instagrams, I always assume Instagram stars are female.
No, most of the ones I follow are typically female, but no, he's Instagram personality, more of a that type of. I'm just a lad hanging out and sharing my life with you, my 6 million subscribers with whom I have a personal relationship in air quotes, and he puts the camera around to show a little girl at the back of the bus that he's on. The girl is clearly wearing a wig. It's because she's a cancer survivor. Oh, fuck. She is in the midst of chemo and has been given one of those kind of like Make-A-Wish Foundation trips to Disneyland.
Yep.
And he's like, look at this girl. She looks so weird. And you're like, dude, she's a kid with cancer. What the fuck?
You know when people say it could get worse, like, oh, you come out and say, "Ah man, I made fun of this kid and I don't feel great." You know when people say how much worse can it be? This is how much worse it can be.
It's fucking horrific because you can see the kid clocks the camera. The kid clearly understands she's being filmed by a guy speaking Portuguese, kind of half laughing at her at Instagram. I'm like, this is absolutely fucking nightmarish to watch. And obviously he gets the I think maybe cunt of the decade. But
yeah, that'll do it.
I have a counter proposal. I would like to nominate for cunt of the show, which will be our new segment, the guys who are DDoSing the Extra Life servers.
DDoSing?
Yes, denial of service. Basically, you mass spam data at a server, and it crashes. It can't process enough data to continue normal functions, and shuts down. Someone is doing that to Extra Life, the charitable foundation where gamers raise money for kids.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Who the fuck?
who looks at all these people? Who looks at the fucking effort and the just like good vibes of this thing? Go, you know what? I'm gonna fuck that up because every year I never have enough disposable income to say I'm gonna throw some money to them. I do what I can if I have the money, but
if there's streamers we know that are doing their streams, I'll happily like share it out to see if anyone wants to join in and help raise money. Just if you can't, share money, share some.
Yeah, share the experience. Like watch, make sure that you're there. But I would never look at that and think, oh, I can't give money. I'm just going to crash it.
Time for who? I just want to know who looked at this foundation, which has raised millions throughout the years, and this year, I think may have raised up to $10 million for kids in hospitals in the US. That is a fantastic amount of money. It's a kind of like pride of the gaming community that people can come together and do all this. And someone decided time to smash the fuck out of that.
Yeah, it's fuck those people. I mean, it's doing nothing but good work. It's doing nothing but helping people. I mean, I'm sure you're going to get all those people saying, "Oh, the money doesn't go to the sick kids." It probably fucking does, you asshole.
It goes to rate. Like, I know that one thing they've done is Rooster Teeth are big fans of that charity.
Yeah, they do that.
Jack Patil has done an amazing job at like raising their kind of profile and making a lot of like a big community event, a big 24-hour live stream, which is how most people do their fundraising, is like an endurance gaming session, which is weird to say. But if you've ever tried to game for 24 hours solid, it is a fucking endurance run.
I've tried it once, but not with traditional video games. We did it with board games.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
And after 3 hours of trying to play Risk with someone, I wanted to melt their face off concrete repeatedly.
We need to discuss at some point what it is about board games that fucks people up, but we'll leave that for a separate time.
Especially board games where you're meant to play against other people. If it's 8 people and each one of those 8 people is trying to outdo the other.
Name a board game that can't end in a fight. I dare you. You can't do it.
Yeah, you can't do it because you're going to say, what, Monopoly? No, Monopoly will kill your kids. You will kill your kids because of Monopoly.
Monopoly is designed to start a fight.
Yeah. Even especially the new one, by the way. There's the new one with the card machines. And the card machines don't work often. So if they're like, oh, I'm just trying to take your payment, like, you're stealing money off me. It's like, I swear, no, the card's not working. The next thing you know, the little card machine's getting lobbed at heads because he just gets fucking angry. Yeah, no, Monopoly is designed to raise blood pressure and kill family members.
It's just, I can't believe someone looked at a massive charity event and said, I need to just smash this down to make myself feel, or for some reason. I'd love to know the reasoning.
Yeah,
but that's why I want to introduce this segment to the show. Is this because there's nothing better than self-righteous anger, except for community interaction. Last episode we promised Lance, one of our fans on Twitter, that we would do a breakdown of the top accents in I guess it's television, I guess it's movies as well.
I think it was just
top Scottish accents in movies.
It's just a selection of accents, Scottish accents from movies and TV, and they got in somehow famous singer-songwriter Lewis Capaldi.
I don't think I've heard a single one of his songs.
His voice is good.
I don't know who I never heard his music. I probably heard it at work and just don't know it's him.
If you've been listening to the radio in the UK for the past year, you will have heard one of his songs. I couldn't tell you a single title, but I did listen to one song that a friend put on at a house party because Peter Capaldi was in the music video, who's turns out has his great uncle or some shit like that.
Right, okay.
It's not like that many degrees, but they are through some degrees of inheritance related to each other. Turns out there's not many fucking Capaldis in Scotland. Who'd have fucking thought? So I listened to this and I was like, you know what, this guy's got not a bad voice. Then you see him and like, oh, there's a reason people call you Chewis Capaldi. You look like Chewbacca, but someone shaved him. I mean, I can't talk. I'm not exactly fucking winning like world's sexiest man, but still, he's a weird looking dude.
I was thinking it's like if Ed Sheeran had a drinking problem but got clean of it 5 years ago. Like he's just starting to put it back together again. Like it's just he's lost the weight, but the skin hasn't gone. Like it's just still at that stage of like, ooh, there's something weird about him. Let's
not downplay it. He is good at what he does. He's got a great voice, but his whole thing through what website was he doing it through? Fine Bros React.
It is Fine Bros Entertainment, because I noticed that on the videos. I was like, hey, FBE, why do I know that?
Those are the assholes that tried to trademark the word React. So the whole point of this video is they were given, I think it was six different Scottish accents throughout movies and TV, and he was saying, please rate if they're accurate or not. Please tell me what your grievances with the accent is.
Do you want to go through them in the order of the video?
Yeah, sure, let's do that.
So from the top we had Fat Bastard in Austin Powers. It was given the nod, and I think in a weird way it is kind of an accurate Scottish accent, and a very kind of angry cartoon version of a Scottish accent. Yeah, but it is quite genuine.
It's a caricature, 100%.
I don't know if I just think of it as being legit because that was how we spent most of our childhood, was just yelling "get in my belly" all the time. I don't know if that was just part of what we grew up doing, and that therefore it is kind of canon that is a Scottish accent.
We've just got it in our heads that someone at some point actually spoke like that. And to be fair, I spend a lot of time in Glasgow. Yeah, it's not statistically impossible that someone could be out there going, look at my sexy body. Someone's just out there with their fucking sumo nappy on, rubbing their fucking tea tray size nipples. That
character it's fantastic, and it's so disgusting. It's a perfect example horrific. Of that era of comedy, and that of like what you could get away with. Like, oh, we can't do this because it's not body positive. Yeah, this was the example of early 2000s. We don't give a fuck. We're gonna blast Eminem. Yeah, 24/7 driving around in a little Peugeot 207, just run the fucking corner at 90 miles an hour.
Praying to God every time you take a corner too quick because the back wheels just tip up like that.
And that's why you had a fat bastard in the crew to sit on that side to weigh the car down.
Weigh the fucking car down, yeah.
Exactly. So
every crew back in the day needed the fat bastard.
Next up is William Wallace from Braveheart.
Awful.
It is awful, but can I put to you a proposal?
No.
That's fair enough.
No one.
Next up, Scott.
No one is going to change my mind about how fucking awful Braveheart is. Anyone who says it's good does not know how historically inaccurate it is, and how annoying Mel Gibson's accent is.
The historical inaccuracies are a good point, but the thing that everyone points to is that freedom speech. I think I need to watch the rest of that movie. I don't think I'm going to walk away with like, oh, it turns out it was really good. It was that one scene he fucked up. It's just that everyone remembers that one scene. But I was thinking about the fact that he is having to act through an accent that is not his own, that he probably didn't put much work into it.
Yeah. Probably looked at his paycheck and went, oh, he do shit.
But my theory is that Gibson's acting through the impression, and this is the biggest dramatic speech in film history in a way. Yeah. Like this is the one of the big like rallying cries. Like this is our Independence Day is right up there for the Americans. Like it's on that level. Mm. It's fight them on the beaches level speech, but obviously it never happened. And I think him acting through that, or him trying to scream that accent, just does not work. And I think that's the issue. I need to go back and see like more mundane, chilled out, relaxed scenes and see if his accent was horrible. But in that scene, hell yes, that is the worst Scottish accent I've ever seen.
But that's the thing, even throughout the rest of the movie, he doesn't tone it down to conversational levels. Yeah. There's one point when he passes, I'm pretty sure he sees a little boy trying to pick something up and he goes, "What are you doing, boy?" No Scottish person would ever go, "What are you doing, boy? What are you doing, boy? Stand up." Nah, he doesn't regulate the voice well. He wasn't given enough time to prepare, I think. So yeah, fucking hate Braveheart the movie, and I don't like that accent.
I just think of 99% of the other like Scottish accents you've ever seen in television are either comedy or more naturalistic films where no one's acting really, they're just having the accent and chatting away. Yeah, I think that's where the difference comes in with that and Braveheart. Braveheart is the one kind of standing up, rousing speech, death to the English type of moment in history that features a Scottish accent, and it just so happens a Scotsman was not playing the lead character.
Yeah. I mean, that film was just full of... We're going to put a point on this because we can fucking talk about how much I don't like this movie for hours, but my last point on it is the movie itself did not make good decisions because you have... what was the name of the professor in Harry Potter that had the weird fucked up eye? Like the mechanical eye?
Mad-Eye Moody.
The guy that played Mad-Eye Moody is Irish.
He's playing a Scotsman, and there's a Scotsman playing the Irishman.
He's something Gleeson. He's playing... he is Irish himself, but he's playing a Scotsman.
Mm-hmm.
And then you've got Tommy Flanagan, who is from Glasgow, playing an Irishman. Why not just swap the roles?
It's fine. They're both there for about the same amount of screen time.
Exactly. Just fuck it. Who cares? But no. Anyway, next fucking one. I think it was Star Trek.
It was Scotty from Star Trek. And
something Doohan was there.
James Doohan, the guy from the original run,
Canadian.
Not even trying.
I didn't even realise. I was with Lewis Capaldi in that moment because he goes, "Was he doing a Scottish accent?" I was like, holy shit, that's Scotty.
If you didn't know the other guy was like Leonard Nimoy, you'd be like, okay, so the other guy's gonna be the Scottish guy.
When you don't realise that the person that he's talking to is, I think it is Captain Kirk.
It's Captain Kirk in one of the scenes, and it's
that guy's meant to be Scottish.
Oh wait, he's the okay, right. And then the other clip you show is Simon Pegg.
Yep.
Pretty decent shot of it. Yep. I described it as an acting class Scottish accent. Like it's not an actual Scottish. Nobody's ever spoken like that. But at the same time, if you were told this is how you tread the boards and speak Scottish, that's how you go for it.
I think Simon Pegg's preparation for that accent in Star Trek was watching a shit ton of David Tennant videos. Because it's very close to how David Tennant naturally speaks, but just taken to excess.
I have a pro Peg bias right now because I just watched Shaun of the Dead yesterday.
Yeah,
it's fucking good movie.
It's fucking so good. It's up there with like Iron Man 1.
Yeah,
because all those movies were just, this is going to be the start of something. We're going to hook you in. Shaun of the Dead, so fucking good.
Yeah,
it's even a good zombie film as well.
It's a good zombie film, good comedy film. Good, not quite a good rom-com.
Yeah, I mean it's there.
It's a bit too violent to be a rom-com, but at the same time, it is hysterically funny.
Edgar Wright can just do no wrong, but I mean, in my mind,
his way of shooting things, I'm like, that's a very strong stylistic choice, especially when you think of what else was coming out at the time. Like this rocks by itself. It's very good. So after that, Groundskeeper Willie,
awful.
Yeah,
awful.
It's one of those things that's such a big part of childhood as well.
Yeah, it
does kind of become this Scottish by, I guess, just sticking around long enough. I mean, again, Simpsons is somehow running for like 28th year.
Yeah. The Simpsons has literally been along for as much time as we've been alive.
I think they want to get to 2020.
I think they want to get to 30 years and say, right, last season we are done.
Yes, that's the thing. It's like season. If they get to 2020, they will technically have been making The Simpsons in 4 decades. Yeah, which is nuts because it started in 1989, like the very last moments of 1989, all the way through the 90s, into the aughts, 10s, into the 20s. Yeah, bang, cut it there. I think they're doing that just to say they did it, which is horrific if you have to watch it. But yeah, at the same time, I mean, he was the Scottish voice in America for several decades. Yeah, he was the sole Scottish accent. But it's my description. It's about as Scottish as haggis, bagpipes, and kilts all the way down Princes Street. Because although it is undeniably Scottish, it's dialed up to 11 for the tourists. Oh, it is the fakest shit I've ever heard. Oh, speaking of tourists, when I was at a convention on Saturday, there was the pro-independence march going through Glasgow. Oh, right. And it was my favourite. It's my favourite fucking thing to see people when they see a large procession or congregation of people and they're tourists who just join in. There was just all these people going, what do we want? Independence. When do we want it? Now. And then all these pro-independence people, and there's just a family of Chinese people just stuck in there waving Scottish flags. I lost my shit. Because they're just sitting going, like clapping along. And it's not like these are Chinese Scottish people, like people of ethnic origin of China living in Scotland. It's like these are obviously Chinese tourists who just got wrapped into this whole thing. Yeah, because their tour guide was looking for them. Some guy sitting there with an umbrella going, shit, where the fuck did they go? Oh, dude, it was great. That's so unfortunate. It happened when my rugby team, Glasgow Warriors, won the Guinness Pro 14 or Pro 12 Cup as it was back then. They won it, I think it was
3, maybe 4 years ago. And again, all the people are meeting the team and stuff in George Square in Glasgow.
Yeah.
Again, same thing happened. Just a group of Chinese, Asian people just think walking in the place. They're walking about the flags. People are walking up to them, getting their photo taken. They're just sitting there waving flags back and forth. It's awesome to see.
Also, one thing, this is being Fine Bros Entertainment. They're obviously trying to do something along the lines of BuzzFeed. So they have to ask, do you find this caricature offensive? No. Fuck off with that nonsense. This is not offensive. Yeah, it's a caricature. Nobody gives a shit. I'm going to be honest with you. You have to try a lot harder.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about Groundskeeper Willie being offensive, this is exactly what Louis Capaldi says in the video. It's not the offensive. It's not the stereotype you talk about in The Simpsons. There's so many other people you talk about. There's one in particular that you talk about before.
Every non-American character is an offensive stereotype. Yeah. We just kind of get over it and don't care.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that it's good in the sense that Scottish people don't really get represented enough in media as it is. We're kind of getting, obviously in our TV shows and stuff, we get represented because we've got Still Game, the fucking titan that it is, just still going even though it's not on TV. People still watching it on BBC iPlayer, on Netflix. But we don't get enough representation out there. And if we do, 9 times out of 10 it's a stereotype. Or it's non-Scottish people doing Scottish accents, like The Outlaw King, which was a good film.
Yeah.
But how much more authentic would it have been if you got actual, genuine Scottish actors?
Yeah, and there's a few out there.
Yeah, there's plenty. Easy to find them.
Speaking of Scottish actors, Trainspotting.
Yeah. Why the fuck was that in there? That was
the entire movie of Trainspotting was this. Well, they asked them to break down Scottish accents from Trainspotting, and the answer was it's really watered down.
Oh yeah. Apparently this was very early actor Ewan McGregor who hadn't watered down his accent enough. Right. So this was, because I think he is from Edinburgh himself, so he would have just been, right, you speaking in a normal accent. They'd have been great for that. But now they said, no, this needs to work overseas. We need to get you to speak.
Speak normally, please.
Yeah. We need to get you to speak in an accent that people are going to understand in fucking buttfuck nowhere, Oklahoma.
Yeah.
What's this bar sign?
Who is man think here?
Who the hell? This man think he is coming to my house saying a boot and hoots.
Canadian?
Hey, Ma, get the gun. Canadian's just back.
It's the thing of Scots do that. We do have to water down our accent. I water mine down way further.
Oh, yeah.
Mine's just stuck there. I don't know what it's like now if I just go loose and take away all the little restraints that I have in place.
Oh, yeah. If I did it, because I've always considered myself as a Glaswegian by birthright, because that's where I lived when I was younger. I was every weekend. I'd go away and visit family in Glasgow, come back on Monday, be like, I don't want you to do the weekend. Oh, I guaranteed you went to Glasgow, because that's just where I went all the time.
Yeah.
My parents are Glaswegian. My oldest brother's Glaswegian. It's just me and my older brother Gordon that aren't really lucky enough to
claim that heritage.
But yeah, we can assume it by birthright. And I used to speak with a quite pronounced Glasgow accent, but then I went to college and university in Edinburgh, and there was very, very few other Scottish accents in my classes. So I thought, I need to regulate my voice. And like yourself, I don't know what that other line was. So if I took those restraints off, I think I'd be probably more Glaswegian than I used to be.
I know I have to keep the accent off because the area we grew up, it's a much faster speech pattern than what we use.
We need to just dial it down a bit.
We've got a heavy, thick face as well, so if we start speaking at that speed, we slur it down. We slur it around, and then all of a sudden you get like the face isn't moving fast enough to make the sounds come out correctly. You get a lot of what? Repeat that.
Can you slow that down just a wee bit?
What are you saying? You're like, I just spoke normally. My bad. Yeah. Sorry. So
I shall speak with the Queen's. The Queen's English.
Queen's enunciation. So yeah, I get that, and it does make sense that the biggest Scottish, I guess it's the biggest Scottish movie of all time, the biggest one that we actually like, is a bit watered down. It is a bit more kind of relaxed. Have you ever read the book Trainspotting? No. I have it. I will give you a loan of it. I finished it. Great book. Yeah. Much more than that's in the movie, obviously, because they thought there's got to be certain parts of this where I think, no, we can't put that in. No one's going to fucking understand what the hell this is. And the book is written in Scots. All right. So nice. It's easy for me to understand because it's how I speak. Yeah.
It'd be easier for you to understand. But I handed it to a friend of mine who was Polish, who is Polish.
He was Polish. He's now Catholic. So
yeah, he was Polish. He now presents himself as from Wester Hailes in Edinburgh. But I handed him the book and he went, "I do not fucking understand a word of this." He read it one sentence and I went, "Do you have any idea what that means?" He went, "No, take the book back before I have an aneurysm." That's fine.
This is the devil's tongue.
Yeah, but I used to read when I was a religious man, when I was a man of the church.
Man of the cloth,
Man
sir.
of the cloth, yes. I was in the family. We're a strong Protestant family. I read the Bible in Glaswegian.
Huh.
That is a mindfuck.
I would love to see that.
I have the Glasgow Scots Bible.
The Ouija Bible.
The Ouija Bible, yeah. And it's just... It's stuff like, "We Deuteronomy," stuff like that.
Deuteronomy 1.
James 3:16, ya bass.
Paul the Corinthians, fuck off.
And Jesus said to the moneylenders, "Get to fuck."
Let he is without sin cast the first stone. Somebody throws on, "How you?"
I ken your more shit down.
I didn't think so.
Your face is shut, wee man.
We gotta move past this. Back to Mike Myers, though. We end up with Shrek.
Yeah, we end up with Shrek. Which
Who,
again,
not canonically Scottish, just has the accent,
Yeah,
and
just-
it's just accepted that it's Scottish.
yeah, people just assume it is Scottish.
I'm actually fine with it because, as I said with the William Wallace thing, like none of these accents are really acting through an accent.
Yeah,
Shrek's the closest one,
yeah,
where someone is actually acting through like scenes with narrative weight. And I'd say that because you take Fat Bastard, which is just yelling and screaming at being fat and getting in my belly, then you take the accent, dial it all the way down to a conversational tone. That's where you have Shrek, and it actually works. That's why for me, I joked about this last episode, but
Yeah.
right now we're looking at it saying
yeah.
that legitimately might be the best Scottish accent in television.
Oh yeah.
Oops.
You can tell that Mike Myers has actually worked on this accent because I think was Fat Bastard before or after or during Shrek.
Austin Powers is the 1990s. Shrek is early 2000s.
Early 2000s. So yeah, he must have said use the Fat Bastard voice because originally he wasn't Shrek.
Right.
Originally it was Chris Farley, but then I think he passed, or at that time he was dealing with substantial substance abuse issues.
Right.
And weight issues and health issues. So they said, right, we don't want to really be associated with that. And they got in Mike Myers. So I think he had enough time to fine tune the accent. And if you've got a baseline for the accent,
Yeah.
it's probably best to refer to that. And I think he just went to whatever Scottish parentage he had and said, I need to get this accent down.
Yeah.
Help me.
I think he probably just stuck in character for weeks before
Yeah.
going into the booth. I think that's the best way to do it.
Yeah, just become the character.
And that's how Shrek becomes the greatest Scottish accent of all time.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But I think what damned Mel Gibson's is that he made the fatal mistake of trying to pronounce the T in any way, shape, or form in the word Scotland.
Yeah.
We don't do it. It's Scotland. People who say duh, like, oh, I'm from Scotland. Like, there's a whole Burniston sketch about this on YouTube. Watch it. Like no one says Scotland. I was like, I'm Scottish. No, you're Scottish or Scottish.
If you are looking to do the accent and say the main thing to focus on is that consonants at the end of a word get kind of rounded off. Like all Scottish language starts at the top and goes down.
Yeah, we are on a slope.
We're on everything's on a slope in Scotland, especially the language.
Yeah.
And that's where like you have a word like Scotland. It goes. It doesn't. Nobody says Scotland.
Yeah.
Not that many people say it that way. It's just Scotland.
Yeah,
And
Scotland.
The D is barely there at the end.
Yeah.
So if you're looking to do impressions, looking to do accents and make it a bit more authentic, that's where most of the accents. And although the good point that Lewis Capaldi brings up during this whole thing, Scotland and the UK in general is incredibly rich in accents.
Oh yeah.
For like per square mile, more accents than any other place in the world.
Yeah, you just need to look at Scotland and you have the Glaswegian accent, which has been well documented. People when they try and copy a Scottish accent, I think they go for the Glaswegian or the Edinburgh. But I think they kind of lean, if they want to do a gruff sort of almost enemy type character, they go for the Glaswegian because that's kind of a villain's voice if you do it with the right kind of thing. But Edinburgh, that's more the regular sort of Joe Public Scottish accent they go for. But then if you go further than that, you've got Aberdonian, and then that D is pronounced.
Then we go to Chukterland, and then all of a sudden it's
fucking
a
Hookter
whole-
Chukterland. And it's all, isn't just you got Dundee, and it's like, if you want to see the phrase "two hot onion pies," you got "twa onion pies." Dundonian is a fucking skill in of itself. We have all these. I suppose in a sense you can't really, if you were landing for a Scottish accent, as long as you get the mannerisms right, you can say, "Oh, I wasn't doing this Scottish accent; I was doing that Scottish accent." So there's a lot of room to play in there. There's a lot of room to just kind of fuck around.
I guarantee you that most of the people though are going for Edinburgh, Glasgow.
Yeah, because they think it's easiest, but I don't know. I wouldn't really say.
I would love to take a shooter to California and be like, okay, you're going to mentor this California accent, born and raised in the Valley. He has never stepped outside California. You're going to teach him your accent.
So you're going to sit down. You're going to free here. You're going to and just let them fucking loose. But the word "what" becomes "vit." I realised that after talking to someone from up in the Highlands.
Yeah,
they're like, "So, vid you want? What? Are you Transylvanian?" I believe that is, "What do you want?" No, "Vid do you want?"
I'd love to see, like, again, I like take someone out of our context and sit them down and just have them watch you two have that argument and then go, "You're both wrong."
This isn't English. What the fuck is wrong with you? Just watch their heads explode.
It's I actually used to have there was a driver who was from way up north, and I was the only one who could understand him. So he'd get on the phone, he'd have shit reception because he's up north. I'd be yelling down the phone in his weird accent, no one would understand it, and they had to get me from other rooms to come through and go, "Oh, he's just saying like he wants a box of this ready for him when he comes in," and just put the phone, all right, see you later, bye.
All he's asking for is a kettle on when he gets in. That's it.
He says, "Can you make me a cup of tea?" What? How do you not get this? It's perfectly acceptable English, maybe.
Yeah, I mean, nothing wrong with it. Without those proud people in the Highlands, the Scottish trade would kind of dry up. We send out so much woolen products and shit, it's unbelievable.
Someone's got to shear those sheep.
Yeah, someone's got to wrangle those sheep and shear them.
Speaking of which, there was actually a weird Reddit post of a sheep that hid for 6 years in a cave. It didn't like being sheared, it bolted and ran. I think it was in New Zealand, and the thing is like 4 times the size of itself.
It's just a massive ball of hair.
Just a huge ball of wool. You can barely see the face just poking through the outside.
You see the tiny little black dot of a nose.
It's brilliant.
It'd be pretty awesome.
So yeah, Lance, hope you're happy with that. I mean, only really 2 of the accents get passed.
Yeah,
Train Spotting and Mike Myers.
Train Spotting and Mike Myers, they get the pass because, well, one's authentic Scottish, the other one's Scottish backed.
Yeah. Simon Pegg.
Simon Pegg's is
happy
good.
enough, yeah, happy enough.
It's good to go. James Doohan, Canadian doing a Scottish accent.
We'll give him a mark when he starts trying.
Yeah, when he puts in the good effort, I think he might be dead.
Okay,
it could be. But
Scotty is we'll say one thing. Scotty, by the way, is supposed to be from Linlithgow.
Yeah,
which is weird because I live in Linlithgow.
He does not sound like he's from Linlithgow. He does
not sound like he's from Linlithgow.
No.
He sounds like what people think Linlithgow sounds like.
Yeah, and
but no one enunciates that hard in Scotland, in Linlithgow especially.
Definitely not. And William Wallace, fucking Mel Gibson,
gonna no do that.
Try harder. You fucked it up.
Could you imagine if he came back? He was like, "Guys, I am very sorry. I'm going to do it right this time."
Were you talking about Braveheart the sequel? Because that can't happen.
No, just Braveheart the remaster.
All right, yeah, Braveheart the redo, director's cut.
Braveheart the do-over.
Braveheart, we're sorry.
Braveheart, we're sorry, remastered edition.
EX Turbo HD Plus Alpha. Championship edition.
Speaking of we're sorry remastered edition, Fallout 76.
Yeah.
This is something that we've been kind of keeping half an eye on because it's such a shit show. And
it is just a tornado of shite. Like a shit-nado.
To give you an understanding of where this, where the kind of starting point for all this is, I'd recommend Internet Historians, the Fall of 76, I think it is. And that is a 25-minute video breaking down all of the weird quirks and flaws. There are also several longer, 2.5 to 3 hour long videos cataloguing more in detail of this is every little thing I found wrong with the game. And in the first half an hour of playing, you're like, but it's a 2.5 hour movie. What did you do?
Jesus.
But since then, there's been the main one that seems to crop up is the bag. There was a bag that was offered as part of a power armor kit. It was a special edition, and they said we'll give you a canvas bag, and then they said we can't make the canvas. We'll just make it like this polyethylene
this
shit.
Weird nylon shit. Genuinely, if you're in your home right now, listen to this. If you go into your kitchen and look where the bag of bags is, because everybody has a bag of bags,
Yeah.
pull out one of those nylon bags that your mum uses for the shopping. Guarantee that's it. Like your mum, your wife, your significant other, they will have one of these bags
Yeah.
that they used to store shit in when they go out shopping. That's what they decided would be a benefiting or be the best material to use
In a
for a special edition. Because I think that
it's
had
like
the
100.
power armor.
Yeah, it's the power armor helmet. Which there was another fuck up based on that. But the bag itself was part of it. It was 179 quid kit or something like that for the game.
Not cheap.
And people were like, "Hey, where's the proper bag?" And the response was, "We're not going to do anything about it." That went well.
Yeah. I can imagine Todd Howard was just like, yeah, fuck it, they'll just accept it. Oh, they're that annoyed.
Ooh. Oh, it's that bad. So I think they're on back order. They're being repaired. They're being replaced. You could put in a claim for a bag if you ordered a power armor kit and had a proof of receipt for like an order number or something like that. And then it turns out the website that you put that submission into was very, very hackable, in that you could actually just access the backdoor codes to see a database of everyone making a claim ever.
Jesus Christ.
So that was just another fuck up. That's, again, this is all stuff covered by Internet Historian, but since then there's been two. Well, one of them I found funny from a microbiologist perspective. They had a tie-in product with GameStop where they took the Fallout helmet but gave it a Nuka-Cola repaint, where they basically just repaint over the helmet.
Bright red with the Nuka-Cola logo on the side of the helmet.
Looked pretty good until it turns out the little label on the inside, like, you know, the little clothing tag label that you get on all the products, that was growing mold. Black mold.
Fucking
as in the one that gives you lung problems.
Jesus.
For a helmet that is quote unquote wearable, that's a pretty shitty thing.
People were wearing those things though. I've seen people wear them.
And complications from black mold do get very, very complicated very, very fast.
Oh yeah, very quickly.
So if you didn't see that news and you somehow have one of those helmets,
burn it,
get rid of it soon.
Flamethrower.
Burn it in a preferably like the largest incinerator you can find. Since then, I guess the main problem has just been not only the continuing kind of run of bugs, but the fact that they are offering a 1 year kind of, it went from like a paid game to free to play. Basically free to play at some points. You can get it for free with just about every like Xbox product for like a good 6 months. And then they decided to put in season passes.
Oh, okay, of course they did.
13 quid a month.
Jesus.
Or 100 quid for a year. You're like, oh, that's weird that they would plan that far ahead in advance. This is an always online game with a non-existent fan base. Why are they doing that? They didn't actually plan for this to be a long-running game, and here's how we know why. When the game, I think it was originally launched in 2018. Technically, like towards the end. Turns out,
at the very tail end of 2018 we got it.
When you went into 2019, things didn't work because the game wasn't programmed to run in 2019. What the shit?
Jeez. I'd love to be a fly on the wall and see one of the production meetings with the guys at Bethesda and ZeniMax.
ZeniMax is the parent company, yes.
Yeah. Because I think they were the ones that are leading the charge on Fallout 76. Because Bethesda were just kind of sure, if you want to make it, fuck it.
Yeah. And
I'd love to just watch one of those meetings and go, right, we're going to make this game. How's it going to play? It's going to play with Fallout. Explain how it's going to play with Fallout. It'll just work. It just works. Todd Howard's favourite fucking slogan. It just works.
I was going to say, I've heard Todd Howard say, it just works. And you're like, okay.
Explain, motherfucker.
Let's see it actually work and then we'll believe you because you're Bethesda. You make these type of games that break on impact.
You can imagine him just going out there and going, see, it works. Just fanning the flames away. Just, it works, I swear to God. His hands on fire and shit. Like,
the fire's supposed to be there. It's fine.
That's your day one DLC.
So they've had
Burnt Children is your day one DLC.
But the 1 year like Axe Pass for like 100 quid was pretty astounding. One of the benefits was you would get an unlimited loot box, so you could basically store as much crap as you wanted to for crafting components, not for like finalized items, but if you had raw crafting components, you could put them in and you could store as many as you want.
Wasn't that already a feature in Fallout 3 and 4?
Nope.
Oh, right, okay.
Well, it might be in 3 and 4. It wasn't in 76.
Yeah.
Only thing is, it kind of deleted the items.
Okay.
You paid for a premium item that destroyed every like key crafting components, and if you put them in there, they were just gone. And when you complained to the Bethesda forums to say, I've lost all my shit, I really needed that XYZ component, they were like, yeah, sorry, it's gone. We can't find out what you were missing. Oh, it's so.
I mean, at least with 2K, they at least came up with a workaround saying, right, we're working to fix the fact that your personal vault will just delete itself every so often. They gave us a workaround, and they're looking to fix it completely through a big massive update by the time the next paid DLC comes out, the next season pass DLC.
Mhm.
But in the meantime, they're saying, right, if there's more than one player playing on like couch co-op, get them to save and quit the game first. Then the first player, they save and quit.
Mhm.
Don't let the first player save and quit, because it'll boot you both off. Chances are, player 2 will lose all the shit.
You've talked about this before, haven't you?
They've gave us this workaround. For them just to go, we don't know what's broken. Are we going to fix it? Nah.
Well, they are.
We don't have fucking time.
I think they have fixed it since then. This game is
I
a
fucking hope
constant
so.
stream of patches and updates, but at the same, they have managed
It's
to fix it.
unplayable.
The problem
at
is,
this point.
what was lost is now gone. Good luck. Bye.
Yeah, but you'll get free stuff.
Maybe we'll consider it. We'll give you like £5 worth of free nothing that doesn't really matter to you.
We'll give you some.
Thanks for the
bottle caps.
Thanks for the £100 a year.
Yeah, bear in mind it's a year. Do not break the contract.
Yeah.
Nah, fuck that. Don't support this game. It's going to be bad.
Well, Dom and I were talking about this. I said, Dom, but don't worry, it's about to hit catastrophic levels at some point. It was going to hit these levels earlier in the year, but obviously with the never-ending stream of shit they have to deal with, they have decided to push this key update back. They're going to add what I describe as basic functionality. If you're normally playing a big open world game, you expect to find characters in the world that aren't you or other players, NPCs, non-player characters, for those of you not in the know. Fallout 76 is going to add NPCs in 2020 as the biggest title update to the game so far.
Yeah,
I cannot fucking wait.
Did you watch their E3 presentation this year?
It was just Todd Howard standing there getting hit in the face with just slagging off.
And then two guys came on and say, we're going to give you stuff that we should have gave you at the start of the game. We're going to give you NPCs.
That got a cheer.
Yeah, that got a cheer. And they said, we're going to give you a Battle Royale mode. We're going to give you the PvP that we promised.
The bar is so low for Bethesda with this game.
I think we did talk about it around about that time. There was people in the front row wearing Bethesda t-shirts who were just going, yeah man, do it, fucking Todd Howard, base God. People just going fucking nuts and like, dude, you're being fucking paid, and every single person behind you is just going, fucking hungry, you want to go get some food? I'm done with this shit.
Dude, we can leave right now.
Dude, I'm bored.
There's a pizza place over the road.
Dude, they got Five Guys, let's go.
They got Five Guys, dude. Bro, Five Guys, let's go.
I got to spare $30, let's do this.
Why? Because they didn't pay for £13 a month battle pass.
We cannot stress enough, do not do this.
Please, for your own good, leave this game alone.
You will, if you've never experienced buyer's remorse before, you will if you buy it.
Fallout 4 and Fallout 3 are still there. New Vegas is there as well. It's been patched and fixed to the point where it's now a very good game.
Yeah, if you want a good Fallout style game, get Outer Worlds.
Ooh,
It is just New Vegas 2.
I have not seen very much about this game. What do you know?
I've been watching my brother play it because I've never really gotten into the Fallout games in the sense of I've always liked how they've played, but I've never played one through to completion. Because I just get kind of sidetracked with things. Next thing you know, I've spent 18 hours in the wilderness shooting fucking giant mutated bears and shit.
It's totally worth it because at the end of those 18, at the end of the 18 hours, you get a gun that fires railroad spikes and makes a choo-choo noise.
Yeah, it was great.
Dead ass.
I fucking love that shit. But no, the Outer Worlds it's ridiculous what they did with a good Fallout engine, because it's all made in the Unreal Engine. Right. You can tell that they were using Fallout as a basis because all the dialogue options, all the menus and stuff. It's just Fallout. The characters are just look like they're taken from a Fallout game, but they're very, very well polished.
They don't have that weird, creepy effect where they just turn and stare directly into your eyes.
Or they don't keep their head straight, or they don't keep their body straight and turn their neck like to the point where it's just looking like it's snapping. It's a really well polished game. It does borrow some of the mechanics from Fallout. It has a slowdown system, but they call it time dilation, not VATS. But it's not a case of you can pinpoint certain body parts, but it's not just. It doesn't come up. Shoot the leg for 20% chance of, or 20% damage. Shoot the shoulder for.
Or is
30.
it just bullet time?
It's just bullet time, yeah.
All right.
It's essentially just VATS, but without the overlay and without the.
So what we're saying is it's legally distinct from VATS.
It's legally distinct from VATS, 100%, and it's a pretty good game so far from what I've heard from people. It's a good game. It really scratches that post Fallout 4 itch because people weren't a fan of Fallout 4.
It was okay.
People liked it for the sense that it was another Fallout game.
I liked it for the shooting aspect of it. I loved the almost kind of survival mechanics part of it where I'm like scrounging ammo.
Yeah.
The story was okay-ish, but once you start breaking it down, you're like, oh, that was really dumb.
Yeah.
Don't know why I did that. There was no real like clear motivation for anything to happen. But if you get into that level of the game, it's bad. But if you just enjoy it as like a mindless shooter, it was good, which is not a good thing to be saying about a really dense RPG game.
But from the little that I've seen of Outer Worlds, the gameplay looks tight. The graphics look pretty fucking sweet. For it clearly being another Fallout type game, it looks like there's enough within that game to separate it. So I'd urge you pick it up, and it's free on Game Pass.
Oh,
so pick it up and play it. That's the sole reason I have it. That and so many other fucking games.
So, if I'm right in saying this is, you said it was Unreal Engine. One thing I noticed when I saw like a little bit of gameplay footage of this was that they're doing the right thing with the Unreal Engine, which is you have weird textures and you put weird lighting on it.
Yeah,
I've seen a lot of purple in there, and I'm like, ooh.
There's a lot of. I think they're going more for whereas Fallout was very
grey and
steampunky and grey and gritty, and they're going for let's go futuristic and bright. And futuristic and bright and colourful, because the locales that I've seen is you walk through a location and it's all, I think it's set in a kind of an autumn type fall setting, and there's like the bright yellows, the bright oranges and stuff, and there's the green from the lights above, some of the lights above you, they've got this weird kind of green hue to them, and the buildings yourself with this kind of bright red. The sky above you is this weird kind of deep green blue thing. They've definitely went, let's try and make it a bit more bright and vibrant to even further separate ourselves from Fallout.
I did see Jim Stalin describe it as garish, but in a good way.
Yeah, they're definitely trying to.
Let's just have a riot with a colour palette.
Yeah, let's just have fun. Let's just make it bright and colourful and cool.
I'm down for that.
Yeah, and again, if you've got Game Pass, it's free.
It costs you no money.
It costs you maybe a couple hours of your time to let it download and do the character creation shit, but I guarantee you're going to have a good time with it.
Couple hours.
Just for downloading.
How big is that game?
I don't know. I never watched it download. I might have just let it download overnight, but
oh right, okay.
Because I'm impatient as fuck. I just keep coming back. It's at 5%. I started downloading 5 minutes ago. Why isn't it done?
This is I now live the
No, I think it's 36 gig, so it might not even take the full hour to download.
I live the life of royalty now. I have a wired connection. I actually took out my wireless connection card, exchanged for like a PCIe slot for something else, and I decided to just use that for like a streaming card. I now live an entirely cabled life as far as like my PC and Xbox, both cabled in.
Yeah.
I do not bother with this peasant nonsense of Wi-Fi.
Oh, it is the way of the future, because my before I changed my room, but my PC was on a wired connection, and I never ever dropped any fucking frames when I was playing fighting games online. It was so good, especially when you're playing early Street Fighter 5.
Yeah.
That game was buggy. You wanted the best connection possible. When I was playing that on the PC, it definitely helped to have the wired connection, but now I've sadly readjusted my room, and I've now had to go back to wireless, which is not too bad, but I don't really play a lot of online games anymore.
I think what becomes very interesting for somebody who watches like all hardwired, and you watch someone who has to deal with like wireless, is that you basically have to ask everyone, hey, can you guys just turn off everything Wi-Fi related?
Yeah.
Every tablet, phone, laptop, everything. Can you just turn off 5 minutes so I can download this thing and I'll let you get it back on the network?
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, that's how it used to be. It's kind of it's sad in a way. It's remembering how it used to be.
When you get to the point where you're like, I have this ultra fast broadband. Hold on. Can you stop watching Netflix for 10 minutes because I need to download like Terry just dropped in Smash Bros. I need to download that. It's a 4 megabyte file. It shouldn't take too long.
It'll just be half an hour. I'll be back up. You're like, wait,
Yeah.
what? It is one stage above the old dial-up connection where if somebody picked up the phone, that was it.
Yeah, but
Connection.
I'm playing Doom, motherfucker.
Who the fuck did this?
Oh, that was a horrible experience. But talking about things from the past that are now getting a massive boon, Dungeons and Dragons.
Okay.
I'm going to launch into talking about Critical Role because
Was worried we were going to talk about racism. Something from the past is getting a massive boon. Uh-oh.
I mean, technically we could get. No, I'm not joking.
Let's not go that way.
Let's not go that way. I'm only kidding. There's no racism in Dungeons and Dragons, but
Yet.
yeah. Well, although they did release a supplement guide for I think it was D&D 4th or 5th edition that basically just painted all black people as slaves.
Okay.
And they immediately took that back and said, "We're sorry, we did not mean to paint this colonial view of coloured people." And quite fucking right. Get rid of that shit.
Like we can, I think it's a good way to have those discussions, to have that allegory of like you have a world of multi races in the idea of like elves, dwarves, orcs, and whatever, and you treat them in a very racist way, but doesn't this seem suspiciously like something that happened in real history that we should learn from and we should progress onwards from? But then to actually go, oh, like we have all these different mythological races, but still black people are the slaves. Like, dude, what the fuck?
Yeah, clearly someone
At
had
least make it the orcs. Come on, that's the easiest no-brainer in the world.
I mean, clearly someone was married to someone, and that person's wife or husband cheated on them with a black person, and fucking I hate them all.
I'll show them.
Show them you're all going to be slaves in this. But yeah, I think that's the only really big problem that they've had in the past couple of years, because the satanic panic of the early 80s and 90s in America is now over, because everybody and their fucking dogs are playing Dungeons and Dragons. And I think that is because of not solely because, but I think they have a huge part to play in it, and I think that's because of Critical Role.
There's been a massive pop culture influx as people generally get more geeky with the rise of the Marvel movies and stuff like that.
I think it's become, I don't want to say the cool thing to do, but I think that's the only word I can use to say it. But people...
It's in vogue.
Yeah, it's in vogue. Yeah, it's definitely in the zeitgeist. And people are just saying, oh, D&D's this cool thing. So many people are playing it. All these celebrities are playing it. I mean, you've got Vin Diesel, you've got Joe Manganiello, you've got fucking Kevin Smith. The director Kevin Smith plays Dungeons and Dragons. Interesting side. Judi Dench plays Dungeons and Dragons.
I am so down to roll dice with Judi Dench.
Not only does she play did play Dungeons and Dragons with Vin Diesel, but now DMs for her grandkids. Judi Dench, fucking brilliant woman.
You absolute queen. Like, I don't use the phrase "Yas Queen" lightly, but Yas Queen.
Dude, how much of a mindfuck would it be when M from James Bond is your DM? I'd be down for that. Judi Dench, if you listen to the podcast, I would be down for at least one session if you DM'd it. I'd set myself down for a series, even a podcast of her playing D&D with her grandkids. That'd be the most wholesome shit you could ever listen to.
It's Great British Bake Off, but Dungeons and Dragons edition too.
Oh, dude, can we get Great British Bake Off? Like the cast of Great British Bake Off doing Dungeons and Dragons. Can you imagine Noel Fielding, Sandy Toksvig? Imagine those fuckers doing D&D. That'd be great. But yeah, you've got all these people that are playing D&D now, and it's fucking awesome to see it happening, because I remember when we ran the D&D club at high school, we had to lock the door. Yeah. Because people would come in and go, what are you fucking doing then? Because it was not the cool thing to do. We thought it was cool because we were always like, we fucking loved the metal imagery of it. We always loved the idea of being a giant fucking half orc and cutting people down, or in my case, I loved being a dwarf and
cutting people's ankles
off, or taking a great hammer and cracking their like spines with it.
But we were geeky nerds. Like, this is what we enjoyed. We enjoyed the Lord of the Rings. We enjoyed all these like fantasy tales. R.A. Salvador's like stuff for actually Forgotten Realms, which is D&D in itself. All that stuff is just cool to us, but now it seems to have leaked out. You know, oh shit!
So many different sort of shows and podcasts and things that are doing D&D now, and it's all because of what people are calling the Mercer effect. Right. But I don't think the Mercer effect appropriately describes it, because by calling it the Mercer effect, you're saying that this recent influx of people playing Dungeons and Dragons, people playing Pathfinder, other other role playing games is because of GURPS,
General Universal Role Playing System. It's another version of D&D, but it's more generic.
All right.
There's no like lore, there's no background, there's no like realms. It is just, if you want to make a system, this is the generic. Like it's like Unreal Engine. It is the engine that runs the game.
Yeah. There's also when you said GURPS there, I was like, is that Fate Core? Because Fate Core is the same thing. Fate Core is literally you have your guide through the game, and they'll sit down and say, right, what are you doing? And they'll say, oh, I want to be this kind of character. It's like, okay, so you want to be this kind of character? Maybe we're in a kind of sci-fi futuristic setting. Then you just build outward.
Right.
That. I'm very interested in Fate Core. Tried to run it a couple of times, but the people that I was running it with were not fucking interested in any way, shape, or form. I was going to do this big time travel scenario where they go back in time, but they leave technology that shouldn't have been there, and that kind of influences the future. But what happened was they went to the place that I was going to send them to. They started a bar brawl, burnt the place down, killed the rest of the party, and came home.
That's just how you do it.
One of them came home. I was like, okay, I can't do this. We're just going to call it quits. But yeah, they're saying Matt Mercer, because he is this new kind of celebrity DM, and people are looking at him and saying, Dungeons and Dragons is so fun, and you can be expressive, you can be this, you can be that, and more people are coming into the game, which is fucking fantastic. But more people are coming into the game and thinking, it's going to be just like Critical Role, it's going to be just like Heroes of the Veil, it's going to be just like Relics and Rarities, when you've got all these trained actors being expressive, and they're going to be acting through parts of the game. They're going to be making these sort of massive worlds on paper, and then they're going to play a game with their friends and realizing this isn't what I thought it would be. And most people are kind of tarring it with that brush, and that's what's making the sort of diehards of the game. Because I think at this point I'm a diehard at Dungeons and Dragons. I've played it for fucking decades now.
Yeah.
And I'm writing my own adventure path because the Matt Mercer effect has hit me. I want to get back into not just playing Dungeons and Dragons. I want to get back into a game. I want to be the DM for a bit, because I've been watching that thinking, you know what? I know the exact group of people that I could get to do this.
Yeah.
And it'd be fucking great.
Yeah.
And I know because they'd get into it, but people are going to these games and thinking, oh, well, the people I'm playing with, I brought in my friend, but she doesn't really play like Laura Bailey, and I kind of want to play like Laura Bailey. And it's like, it's a good thing that she's not playing like Laura Bailey, because Laura Bailey is an actor. Yeah. You can tell that she's doing this not just because she loves the game, because you can tell that they do love the game, but you're doing it because they're putting out a show.
Yeah.
They're giving a product of, we're selling Critical Role as a television show.
Which they are now, have actually successfully sold as a television show.
And it's to
Amazon, which, by the way, shout out to fucking Amazon.
Yeah, do you know how much money they raised for their Kickstarter?
No.
It's 11 million.
Damn.
It was originally they wanted to do a half-hour special,
right?
Saying this is the first adventure. This is a little side adventure of Vox Machina, which is the first campaign. So we wanted to do an animation thing. Then they got so much backing in the first hour and went, okay, let's do stretch goals. And they went, if we get this amount of money, we're going to do one season, 10 episode season. Then they kept getting more money. It's like, okay, we'll do 2 seasons. That season will only be 10 episodes. And then they got well within excess, and that went, right, for every 1,000 or 100,000 we get over this, we're going to do 2 additional episodes per season. It's like, okay, so what should have been a half an hour special turned into 2 12-episode seasons with a potential for another movie to be made after that.
Jesus Christ.
So this thing, it's just kept going and going and going and going.
And that's a fanatical fan base.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, I think they call them the Critters.
Yeah, I think I've seen that.
And they are a fanatical bunch, because I know of a few people in around their area that are huge Critical Role fans. They binged all, however many, I think there's 125 episodes of the first campaign.
Yeah.
Which, fucking mammoth task in of itself. And I think they're up to date with the second campaign. So there's 195 episodes across 2 campaigns. They binged all that within 6 weeks.
Damn, son. And I actually started it as well. Because you started it and you're like, this is good shit.
Yeah.
I'm like, alright, I'll find it. I'll download a couple episodes. Turns out it's on Podbean. So I downloaded a couple episodes. The first couple, I did not expect from episode 1 for there to be like edited in sounds. Like they go into a bar, it sounds like a bar. They go into like a dwarving mining
that's
town.
not edited in. What they use a program called Sirenscape.
Really?
That in my Pathfinder group, we've started using Sirenscape. And literally what it is that you're walking in the woods, so you'll hear you hear the wind blowing through the trees, you'll hear trees rustling. And if you want to put walking noise in, you can hit a button and it sounds like footsteps crunching on leaves.
So that's live edited in?
That's live edited in. They just play
that's
that in the background.
That's impressive. I was like, I thought someone went back and was like, okay, this stage are in this, but if they do it live, yeah, they do
it live.
Shit, that's awesome.
It's pretty fucking good.
That's impressive.
Yeah, it's really impressive. But so basically that's what the Matt Mercer effect, or the pro GM or the pro player effect is. People are getting disappointed by the fact that it's not how they're seeing it on TV, and then when they're playing it themselves, they're getting disappointed and they're starting to say, oh no, Dungeons and Dragons is a pile of shit. I tried playing it with my friends, it's not like that. And people are associating it with that, and then when they go and see it, or they want to start playing Dungeons and Dragons themselves, and someone says, look at Critical Role first. They'll see how that plays and goes, nah, that's kind of too hammy for my liking, I don't want to play it that way. And I think playing a game like Dungeons and Dragons in someone else's style is stupid. Mm-hmm. The whole point and the whole beauty of this game is you can play it in whatever style you like. And this is going to lead me to my one and only issue with the entire Critical Role, because like I've said, the characters and Matt Mercer's DMing, faultless. Matt Mercer is a fantastic DM. If you want to emulate a DM, you couldn't go wrong copying Matt Mercer.
Yeah,
he's expressive, he talks things through. He's maybe a bit too lenient for my liking, but then again, I think that's maybe just because of who my GM is.
Right.
He doesn't let us get away with shit. If we'll say something, we'll be like, "Oh right, you're with a couple of demon slayers. You can't really say that you're hiding a demon, so you're gonna have to fight your demon slayers." that was a whole fucking story that ended.
I was just saying, like, that actually doesn't seem that unreasonable. That seems like very basic. You forgot you were hanging out with demon slayers and mentioned your pet demon.
Yeah.
Because we actually, when we were learning, we learned from a very lenient DM.
Yeah.
Someone who's all just about the flow of the game. Like, just have a good time, have a good time, tell a story.
Yeah.
That was his shtick, and that's where I learned anyway.
Yeah, I think we both learned part of that, but I think my style has now been informed by multiple different people, because I like doing the voices like Mark Mercer would do, but from my GM, a guy named Bow, his last name's Bow, but we all just, when you get a nickname and it sticks.
Yeah,
we just call him Bow. Fucking fantastic DM. Remember shit encyclopedically. You could be asking, it's like, oh dude, what do I roll here? And he's telling you every single bonus.
You just hear the mechanic hit.
You can just hear the fucking file of facts in his head just split open and be like, okay, that's what it is. No books. He just reads this shit. And he's just fucking he's like a fucking encyclopedia for Pathfinder. And I've kind of picked up a bit from him. But who used to run the D&D club at our high school before he left, he was fairly lenient, I think. But that was because we were just starting out.
Yeah.
He was more just kind of, let's explore the cool world.
Yeah.
And then I think there was quite a lot of setting people on fire in our old campaigns. A lot of people chasing dragons with boots, which was pretty fucking cool. It's one of my favourite stories of all time. One of the people that we used to play Dungeons and Dragons with back at high school, their first campaign, the teacher that used to run the club, made them fight a giant white dragon.
Yeah.
They ran it. Their paladin threw his sword at him, but the sword broke. He'd enchanted the sword and he meant to throw the sword and get it in its weak spot, but the sword broke because he rolled an 8 or he didn't roll high enough. Sword broke, so he tried to use magic, but the dragon built up an immunity to the magic over the years that it had been hunted, so he had his boot left. So he spun the fucking boot like Mjolnir and threw it at his head and got a critical.
Nice.
Confirmed the critical and rolled perfect damage. The maximum amount of damage he couldn't. He went, you just knocked out a fucking dragon with a boot.
Oh, it's such a, like, knowing who the DM is and knowing, like, all the people who probably would have been at that table, that's good. That's
pretty awesome.
That's the type of fucking nonsense that would go on.
Yeah. But like I said, my problem, going back to my problem with Critical Role, my problem with Critical Role is that it's very stereotypical.
Right.
In the sense that all the dwarves are Scottish, all the elves speak with a very noble, highborn accent. All
posh
the
twat accent.
all the goblins, they all speak like this and they're all goblins. They've all got the very stereotypical fantasy accents. And I text you this saying I have some pointers for them, but my pointers for them would be, the whole point of playing Dungeons and Dragons is to break the stereotype. And as we're moving forward and more people are getting into Dungeons and Dragons, that stereotype of Dungeons and Dragons only for nerds is being broken anyway. So why stay within the confines of, I want to be a fantasy paladin, so I need to speak like I need to speak like Aragorn from Lord of the Rings, where everyone's just the kind of low girl. Like, no, experiment. I've never played a D&D character or Pathfinder character with anybody's accent but my own. I don't say, I'm playing an elf, so I must speak like this, and everything must be overly pronounced, and I must look down on people. No, I've played 2 elves.
One must espouse elegance, even in the heart of the battle. You're like, fuck off.
It's like, you should test my blade. Die, you cur. I've played 2 elves in my time. I played one like a surfer dude, and it was like, I think I called him
surfing on your bones, bro. That's what's up.
I think I made him a ranger or a rogue, and he just stole shit. It's like, dude, I totally got your coin bars, bro. Just play him like an absolute fucking surfer dude stoning it. The other one I played like I played him in an Irish accent, but I just made him a complete opposite departure of what you'd expect an elf to be. So you expect an elf to be very prim and proper. This guy was a total fucking slob. So, and not all the associated tropes that go with the fantasy realm need to stick when you play D&D.
Yeah.
You don't need to play the Scottish dwarf. Play a German dwarf. German dwarfs can be funny.
That should be hysterical.
Play a Spanish orc. Play anything you want. Don't just see that. Again, this will go a long way to sort of break this pro-party effect stigma. Just do your own thing. Be unique. Some of the best D&D shows that you can watch on the internet are the ones that take the formula and just twist it a little bit. Because you've got Critical Role, which is a very traditional, very stereotypical Dungeons and Dragons game, but then you've got a game like Relics and Rarity with Deborah Ann Wall from Daredevil. She played Karen Page in the Marvel Netflix shows. Fucking great DM. Like, her whole thing is just all about playing the game, but she does it where she gives the characters an item from this kind of the shop called the Relics and Rarities. So they actually get a physical item that they can use in the game, but they also get a little sort of trinket thing that you can take away from the set. And there's all about just doing different things within the game to make it so you're not just playing straight Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
Yeah.
Play it 3.5, but just with a twist. And that's the greatest thing about Dungeons and Dragons in itself. It's no two campaigns will ever be the same.
Yeah.
You're going to get a campaign, and you will get a campaign that's where everyone just comes in. We fight the bad guys. We're going to kill everything we come across. But you're also going to get a campaign where it's going to be, well, no, we're going to fight, but at the same time, if we can avoid fighting, why not? If you can talk to the enemy and say, why do we have to fight? Use your skills. Use the dice to make the game better, not just go in and go, we're going to fight the fucking dragon. Let's kill it. Like, be a bit smarter. If you have to fight the dragon, cool. But if you can circumvent the dragon and get to where you're going without it, use your skills to the benefit. And that's another drawback. That's the second part of the drawback of Critical Role is the player characters don't really use the finer aspects of their character because they can all throw down pretty well. They've all got this really good team synergy, but they've got the Grog, the barbarian. He's just going and he's fucking shit up. Then you've got the sharpshooter, you've got the bard, you've got the healer, you've got the druid, you've got the ranger, the rogue. There's this great team synergy, but none of them really use their finer character traits to their fullest.
I think that's it's got to be part of how you set up the scenario as well. Is that a campaign of killing the goblins is interesting.
Yeah.
But what if you're having to deal with a goblin invasion at the same time as dealing with a trade war? What if you have towns struggling to reach trade agreements? You have to barter between both towns as like emissaries, as outsiders. They get okay, you're from the outside. You mediate the situation for us. You have to run back and forward between these two towns. But every time you do it, goblins attack.
Yeah. I mean,
play with more than just the combat rules. There's a lot more there.
And that's definitely my point. Look, combat's fun. Everyone loves a bit of combat in Dungeons and Dragons because it gives you an opportunity to roll that all precious D20.
Yeah.
It gives you the opportunity to do the cool fireballs. It gives you the opportunity to use the cool greatswords. But some of the more interesting aspects of D&D are when you actually use the NPCs that the DM has given you, because I guarantee the fucking DM's going to love it. Like, oh, I've spent a lot of time making this character.
Yeah.
And even if it's a villain, there's going to be a lot of backstory to that as well. If you actually engage the DM and you say, all right, you want to talk about this? Sure. Because in my very first Pathfinder campaign, my character, who was a monk, an insanely strong human monk, went to score the killing blow on an anti-paladin, which was basically paladin that went to the dark side. Think of it like Sith, if paladin could be considered a Jedi.
Yeah.
And I said, can I just convince him to join me instead? And then my DM's eyes lit up and went, yeah, do that. I don't want to kill this guy. I spent 3 hours writing this guy's backstory. Convince him to join you. You can get advantage, or you can get a bonus to it. So just come up with different ideas.
Yeah. There's a reason why, if you've ever looked at a D&D rulebook, there are mechanics for everything. Yeah. Look, if you go into a D&D, like the Dungeon Master's Guide, you can see a mechanic for how you buy a loaf of bread. Yep. I shit you not, that's in there somewhere. Yeah,
there's rules for bartering. You don't have to accept. If you go into an alehouse, a tavern. Fucking hell, why could I not think of the word there? If you go into a tavern and someone says,
it's weird that you took that long to fight that word into place when alehouse would have done.
I didn't think alehouse was a word.
Yeah.
All right. If you go into a tavern and you say, oh, I'm going to pay 2 gold for that pint, and you say, in fact, no, what? I'm going to pay 1 gold. Okay, now you're going to use a persuasion check.
Yeah. Like, convince him it's not worth the money.
Yeah.
Like,
it's all about,
the combat rules
combat's
are cool.
Going to be there. Combat's going to be fun, but it's all about using the more unique and the more niche aspects of your character.
And if you go in and actually, I have a lot of 3.5 books where it's a lot of like self-contained campaigns or guides on how to do the campaigns. There's always a ton of stats on each villain's like combat abilities.
Yeah,
there's also like a little backdoor. There's always something you can use if you wanted to try and persuade them against something.
There's always a backstory that if you say the character that I'm talking about, I think the character's name was Nawalia. But the way that my character convinced it was because I did the way my character convinced her was by doing I think it was an insight or a knowledge check on her. Then I realised through her backstory she just hated a certain person, so I used that to kind of open up an avenue conversation. And I think you're going to get a more well-rounded game out of it if you go outside the traditional, instead of just focusing ham-handedly on combat. Because again, nothing but pure combat campaigns can be fun.
Yeah.
If you want to unwind after a shitty day at work and just fucking murder orcs, sure, go ahead.
Let's roll some dice. Let's have some fun.
Yeah, and that's all about.
Play a drinking game every time somebody dies.
Yeah. Ultimately, and that's what D&D is. Just have fun. But
Yeah.
I think saying that people have this new perception of D&D because of the pro party effect, I don't think that's justified. I think the pro party effect is more of a people aren't happy with the way that the game is actually played compared to how they play it on screen.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's more of a personal thing than it is anything else. But I think the pro party effect is a complete fallacy. It doesn't make sense to me. If it's getting people to play the game,
Mm-hmm.
even if it is just they want to play the Vox Machina campaign but with their own characters, just let them. If they change it enough, cool.
I'd liken it to gameplay and let's players. Like a game plays a certain way,
Absolutely, yeah.
and then a game plays a different way when you're playing it to make a let's play or do a Twitch stream where you're trying to be entertaining at the same time.
Yeah.
And if one thing we talked about just off mic was if you are joining, or if you are a DM who has someone join because they listen to Critical Role, they really like the story, they want to give it a go, the DM and the group should be all kind of in agreement of how the game plays. I don't know where I've read this, but I'm sure I've read it somewhere about, there was just an article about, this was way before Critical Role, this was like 10-15 years ago, about just having an agreed tone for the room. If everyone wants to come in like the full thespian like acting performance of who their character is, or even if they want to speak in character, or they want to say, oh, I go up to this person and they are always in the role, or they want to say, my character goes to this place and does this thing.
Yeah.
Everyone should kind of be in agreement of what's going on, and just set that tone before the game starts. If that wants to switch over time, like people get into it and they want to, I kind of don't want to say like Gorg does this. I want to say I do this because I'm now Gorg. I'm in the role.
Yeah.
In the moment.
Yeah, I think that's ultimately it's another good thing for immersion and investment if you set the tone immediately.
Yeah.
You say,
And you don't have to do accents.
No, you don't have to do accents. If you want to do accents, by all means do it, because one of the people in my campaign, he does a different accent for each one of his characters, and he knows he's not the best at accents. Every time he tries to do a Welsh accent, it lands on stereotypical Indian, and every time he tries to do an Australian accent, he lands on Irish for some reason. He's not very good at accents.
Indian to Welsh makes sense because
absolutely it makes sense.
My
Australian to Irish.
My dad does it.
Yeah.
My dad, every time he wants to speak Welsh, sounds Indian. I have no idea. We have no idea where he's picked this up from. There are no characters that we all watched at the same time. We're like, oh, that makes sense.
Yeah.
He doesn't. He just has an Indian accent when he wants to speak Welsh. And yet, when you ask him, hey, can you do an Indian accent? He can't do one. It's retarded. It makes no sense whatsoever. But Australian to Irish, kind of impressive in a way.
I mean, it is very impressive, because I don't know how he fucking does it either. But accents can be fun, but don't feel the need to go into a game and think, well, I'm playing a half-orc barbarian, I need to talk like this, and I need to be the big stupid orc. No, go in there and be the sophisticated orc. Be the stereotype breaker. In my campaign that I'm writing just now, I've wrote in the sophisticated gremlin from Gremlins 2
right,
as a hobgoblin, because I thought, how funny would it be, because you associated hobgoblins with being this kind of snarling, kind of horrific.
It's like it's halfway to a werewolf, isn't it?
Yeah, hobgoblins are basically just goblins that are basically taller, a bit more muscular.
8 foot tall, 240 pounds or something like that.
Hobgoblins are horrific creatures, but how funny would it be if one came up to you and started speaking like this? We just want civilization. How funny would that be?
We rather enjoy this fire you seem to have. Wouldn't it be nice if we could have some of our own? Doesn't it would happen? You're like, why?
Because it's funny.
What is this? And also, if you're going to do the Spanish orc, you got to name him Diablo. Because
El Diablo.
No, Diablo.
Diablo.
Because you can say, Mi amo Diablo. You will taste my blade.
No, my Spanish orc was going to be called Inigo Montoya.
Alright. Fair enough. That's fair. Yeah. I just like the phrase Mi amo Diablo.
Mi amo Diablo. Maybe Diablo Montoya.
You kill my brother. Prepare to die.
You kill my brother. Prepare to die. And at all points, if you want to have a good, successful D&D campaign, put in some Princess Bride references in there, because it just deserves it.
It works every time.
Princess Bride is the ultimate D&D campaign.
Yeah. Be very careful though when you're playing D&D and stuff starts to get off the rails. This is one thing we've dealt with in the past. At a certain point, it's just gone. If you want to actually get stuff done, if you have not quite a serious campaign, but if you have a campaign you want to play through, multiple sessions, you want to tell the whole story, you got to rein that shit in as the DM.
Yeah, you need...
The party all needs to understand. We need to play this game for like the next couple hours to get onto the good parts.
Yeah.
We can't get distracted with silly little nonsense. Yeah. Admittedly, you do just have to kind of let the party go and just let them do whatever they want. But at the same time, once they start making like weird accent jokes, just kind of
Yeah,
crack it on a
you
bit.
do need to rein them in, and you do need to rein them in to an extent where you're just like, right, guys, we need to move on past this. But at the same time, you don't want to railroad them.
Mm-hmm. Nothing less enjoyable than a
Yeah,
railroaded D&D experience.
Yeah, there's nothing worse than wanting to go somewhere. Like, I want to go and explore down there. It's like, oh, you can't. Why? Because that's the forbidden forest. Like, you didn't fucking write it in. That's why. It's like the Bunkers and Badasses DLC in Borderlands 2.
Yeah.
When you're playing it and you're walking down one place, and Lilith, the siren, says, "I want to go to the right," and Tiny Tina goes, "You can't. That's where the Dark Lord lives." And I think it's Mordecai just goes, "Tina, you didn't write it in, did you?" And she went, "I had half an hour." It's fucking awesome.
I had something about Mordecai from Borderlands. I think it's his voice actors popped up in something. I was like, oh shit, he's in there.
He was at Comic-Con.
That's Ian Sinclair, isn't it?
No, what the fuck's Jason Liebrecht.
Jason Liebrecht. That's who it is. I was trying to figure out something. I think he is, as we're talking back and forth about the Vic Mignogna situation,
Yeah.
he's taken over from Vic as Crow in Ruby.
Right.
I'm just going to double check that while I make sure I'm not definitely screwing that one up.
Yeah. Because you don't want to put your foot in your mouth on the internet.
Yeah, that would never happen.
No, never happened.
Nah.
That's fine. People don't fuck up on the
Yeah,
internet.
Jason Liebrecht.
Ah.
It's like, oh, it's nice. Because I was looking at him and I was like, I think I've heard that name before. Oh, Mordecai, right. Oh, yeah.
Mordecai, Champa, other things probably.
Another thing. I think it was on the mindset of Ian Sinclair because I caught him in an episode of Fire Force, which I've been watching. New anime shonen series about what I thought was going to be just firefighters. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. Bit of kind of subdued anime, but realistic firefighting. It'd be kind of weird to see, but I guess it'd be pretty cool. Guess he kind of weird to put, like, I think it's the right thing to do, put like a job like that on a pedestal. As like, this is a heroic pursuit. Like, saving people from fires is pretty fucking cool if you think about it.
Especially because firefighters, especially in the UK, could use a bit of good press right now. They're getting tarred and feathered.
It's an essential service.
Yeah.
And I just thought this was going to be pretty cool, nice, realistic anime. It turns out it's about wizards using kung fu to kill demons, but they're all on fire.
Oh, fucking course it is.
It's awesome though. But Ian Sinclair, one of my new favourite voice actors, just popped up, and there is that weird eccentric scientist. I'm like, excellent.
Awesome.
It's Wheeze, but with a lab coat. I'm fucking sold already. Because I've noticed he's appearing now in multiple rounds of the Funimation game that we play, where we just try and spot the actor in different roles.
I can see behind your PC monitor you've got Shin Godzilla there. Have you watched that?
Not yet, no.
He shows up in Shin Godzilla as well.
God damn it.
No, did you? I listened to it and I was just sitting listening. That's Todd Haberkorn.
Oh, it's Todd Haberkorn.
Yeah, Todd Haberkorn's
sweet.
the main character.
Nice.
Ian Sinclair's in there. You will hear a couple of Chris Sabat's.
A couple of Chris
Sabat's. You will hear a couple of well-known female voice actors. I think Christina V's in there somewhere.
Nice.
Just and there's by the way, have you followed her on Instagram?
Yes.
She's clearly out there to show the booty, and I'm all for it. Ridiculous.
It's weird that she's a very good voice actress. She's the voice of Darkness in the Konosuba, the English dub for that Crunchyroll's making, and she's very good in that role.
Yeah. I've seen her in a lot of video games because I played a game called Indivisible recently. Fucking fantastic RPG, but it's a different RPG. There's a lot of platforming in it,
right?
But the combat style is not all turn based. It's more each character is assigned to a button on the Xbox controller.
Right.
So you'll have your main character who's called Ajna. She'll be assigned to the Y button. If you hit the Y button 4 times, she'll do a different combo based on that. And if you move the thumbstick, it'll do a different version of the move.
All right.
And all the characters are mapped to that. She plays a character. Off the top of my head, I can't remember because I finished it a couple of weeks ago. But she plays a character in that. She also was meant to pop up in Fire Emblem, but she got replaced, which I think was pretty shitty. She was meant to play one of the main characters in Fire Emblem 3 Houses, but she got ousted. But yeah, huge fan of Christina V. And I know a few people that are massive fans of that show Ladybug that she does.
I don't think I've seen that.
It looks weeby as all hell, even though it's French. But she plays a superhero called Ladybug, and she has a sidekick, accomplice, partner called Cat Noir, voiced by Bryce Papenbrook.
All right then.
It's a French animation, but technically anime because it's very stylized.
Oh, I think I might have heard something about this.
3D CG type of animation.
I've not heard about this one. I was doing something different.
Excuse me.
Weird that Bryce Papenbrook is playing the sidekick because he's normally the like shonen protagonist shouty boy.
Yeah.
He's I I think I'm trying to remember if he's the one. Yeah, Bryce Papenbrook is Sword Art Online.
Yeah.
Which is
He's also very short in real life.
Oh really?
Yeah, very short.
Huh. He does play a lot of short characters.
Yeah.
Not
I
surprised.
met him at Comic-Con a couple of years back, and very small. Like him and Johnny Young Bosch are quite small.
Yeah, I guess there's a thing where there's some people who like there's the whole like face for radio type thing.
Yeah.
And a lot of voice actors are very good actors. They just don't. Nobody wants to cast them on TV.
Yeah.
And I think there's a lot of very talented. It's just an unfortunate like bias thing that people have. I don't think it's really that fair because I'm like, dude, have you seen half the talent these guys have? They could easily go out into acting. Most of them are stage actors or on camera actors who just never made it big in Hollywood or who just never wanted to.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like, dude, these guys could come on, just rock a fucking set.
Yeah. Although one actor that kind of broke that stigma was Jason Douglas. He's been appearing in live action shit for a while. He was the devil in Preacher. He was in The Walking Dead. He's done a whole shit ton of movies.
Yeah.
And obviously he's done his animation stuff.
Well, geeking, I'm talking like mainstream appeal. Like, weirdly, this is going to sound like a weird thing to pick on, but like Law and Order, Special Victims Unit, NCIS, all those like big American TV shows, they won't cast people like that unless it's for like a one-off little side role.
Yeah, I suppose. I
think I actually did see Todd Haberkorn in an episode of Law and Order SVU or something like that. And I was like,
I'm thinking
that's
Jason
weird.
Douglas was probably in a few episodes of that shit, but no, just as a side on Jason Douglas, that guy's a fucking giant, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, easily into the middle 6 foot, like 6'4", 6'5", that kind of thing. Fucking giant of a dude. And it's quite weird because you've got him sitting there and you've got at the line at Comic-Con, it was just everyone descending, then it bumped back up at Troy Baker and just descended as it got to the Power Rangers. I
actually should give a quick shout out just as we're in a kind of general mush segment of like weird things we need to point out. I want to shout out to El Goro on the Talk Without Rhythm podcast, who has for the 10th year in a row completed 31 days of Halloween. That means he has watched and reviewed on a podcast 31 Halloween movies or 31 horror movies in 31 days.
So he's been doing this for 10 years.
Yes.
I'm guessing it's a different set of Halloween
It's his rule is horror movies I have never seen. The man has seen 310 horror movies in 10 years.
Jesus.
I don't think I've seen that many movies total in my life.
I think
the
I
man
might
is
own that
dedicated to craft. It's unreal. I mean, I've been following him. He was actually the first podcast I listened to.
Yeah.
So he's responsible for all of this.
Oh,
so
what was the...
Fuck you, Algor.
What was the metal podcast? Because I remember the...
Sons of Metal
Sons of
podcast
Metal
that he was
podcast.
part of for a while.
Yeah. So I listened to that on your recommendation. I thought, it's a fucking good show. I even sent in an email to them talking about... I think I asked them to give me some advice on a pre-game playlist. And it was just like... It was all this fucking heavy as hell black metal and death metal. I was like, I'll listen to this.
Yeah, I'll give this a go.
Recommendation. Whatever happened to that podcast? Is it still going or?
I can't remember. It's been like he's been going his main podcast. There's a weekly double movie review. The first couple hundred episodes are gone. He took them off because at a certain point when you produce several thousand podcasts, I think he might be up to main episodes in the 600s, something like that, 400 to 600. I think he's in that region.
All right,
which is insane. But he has been double feature movie reviews of stuff that he watched either online or in cinemas, and he actually is one of the people that's kind of saying you should give Terminator Dark Fate a go, which is interesting.
Right. I've seen it. Do you want me to just give some brief?
I'll finish the El Goro shout out because I think he definitely deserves some praise and attention because I just 310 movies, and it's funny that he hit a point where he picked the wrong movie. He's going into these all sight unseen. And he was basing the fact that this would be a good comic book or a good movie to review off of a 1930s comic book that he'd read, and I was like, oh, this is a horror comic book. Turns out completely fucking botched it in the movie adaptation. Tried to make it a film about a sexy vampire woman. The woman wasn't sexy. There was nothing appeal. Like, she's a model, she's a very good looking woman, but she isn't sexy on screen. Right. There's a certain different quality. Like, there's a certain way that she wasn't moving. She was very stiff and awkward and stuff. It's like her first time on camera for a real film. And you're like, oh, he's watching it. Oh, I completely fucking botched this. Like, oh, it's so. But other than that, 30 solid recommendations. I actually have one of them. It's called The Man Who Laughed. It's a 1930s film.
Oh, that's the film that inspired the Joker.
Yes, that's why I got it.
And it's all about. I think the main crux of the film is that he physically can't stop smiling. That's
Yeah.
like, it's a problem with his facial muscles. He's always got the smile on, and you watch that, even just the images that you would see online, you think, yeah, Bob Kane clearly looked at this guy and thought, there's a villain in here.
Yeah.
So you don't get the Joker without the man who laughs.
Well, the review that he did of it included a lot of the conversation about the Joker and the origin of that character related to the movie The Man Who Laughs. And I say this is where you realise you have a podcasting veteran, somebody who gets all the shit in a row in one big PDF and will talk his way through it and give you his take on the movie, as well as different little pop culture things, like very good little IMDb links between different characters and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'd honestly, hats off to you, Elgor. You're a fucking podcasting king. And I'd highly recommend the Twarp podcast, Talk Without Rhythm. TWOR podcast. Absolutely fucking love it. So yeah, you were gonna say.
Yeah, no, I was just going to talk a bit about Terminator Dark Fate, because I went to go and see it because I'd heard that it was good. I heard that it wasn't completely butt fuck awful.
That's the weird thing, where everyone who I've talked to about this does the exact same thing. It's not just that it's good, it's just taking a second and then good.
Yeah, it's because I watched Terminator Genesis after I watched Terminator Dark Fate, and I kind of thought, I understand completely why they needed to reboot and rein this shit in, because the whole plot of Terminator Genesis is that they somehow managed to change the timeline,
right?
Because Matt Smith, who is a new form of virus Terminator,
Matt Smith as in the Doctor,
Matt Smith,
right? Okay,
with a fucking horrible American accent. And I mean, it's not the worst American accent that you hear in the fucking movie, but he infects John Connor with this weird technovirus thing that causes him to become this weird nanomachine Terminator thing. So they used John Connor to go back in time, launch Skynet, and kill his mother. But in doing so, he creates a new timeline where John Connor doesn't get Sarah Connor gets a Terminator sent back at the age of 9 to kill her, but she somehow manages to beat that Terminator
at
and reprogram
9.
it.
Right.
So that Terminator then becomes her guardian. So then when the other Terminator at the right timeline comes back to save or to kill her, the other Terminator that tried to kill her kills that Terminator, and then all of a sudden the T-1000 from Terminator 2 is stalking them, and it completely fucks up the timeline. Then when Kyle Reese lands there, Sarah Connor's not a fucking waitress. She's this gun-toting badass played by Amelia Clarke.
I was going to say, this is the Amelia Clarke one, isn't it? Yeah.
And it's just a fucking mess. It's an absolute fucking mess.
How long does it take to go from like the start of the movie to Sarah Connor has a programmed T-800 to kill the other T-800?
Half an hour.
Half an hour.
Maybe not even half an hour. I think 20 minutes. Because you get the preamble of John Connor saving Kyle Reese becoming his right-hand man, and then you get the pretty cool fight where they break into the Skynet base and take over the time machine.
Mm-hmm.
And then that's when Matt Smith, infects John Connor with the virus. So I think 20 minutes before all shit hits the fan.
That is an absolute nightmare of a movie.
Oh, it's fucking awful. I didn't make it all the way through, but not because it was.
Can I ask where you saw this?
Netflix. It's on. Right. My brother bought it on Blu-ray.
I was gonna say, like, cause who's paying money for this?
No, fucking Netflix. I got part way through the movie. I'm probably gonna go back and watch the rest of it just for sheer
drinking game.
Kill brain cells. Have a fucking couple of whiskeys or something. I don't fucking know. But it's just. I mean, the T-1000 that they introduced doesn't even look like Robert Patrick from Terminator 2.
Right.
He's Asian.
Okay.
I mean, he kind of invokes how Robert Patrick runs, because he's got that very, I've trained myself for over the fucking years because I was in the military to run a certain way.
Right.
And he's tried to copy that, but at one point you've realised that this isn't even close to how Robert Patrick looked and how he run. And they try and copy the whole the bit when he clings onto the car and he tries to crack open the doors, and then they just keep trying to call back to Terminator 2, and it's not great. And that's where I think most of the modern Terminator films keep shit in the bed, because they keep trying to be the next Terminator 2.
Right.
The Terminator 2 Judgment Day is the best Terminator movie of all fucking time. The Terminator, the first one, is fucking great. Terminator 2 just takes it and builds upon it.
Yeah.
And every film since then is trying to be the new Terminator 2. Even Terminator 3 tried to be Terminator 2 again.
Yeah, true.
And it was fucking bollocks. And then, Terminator Genesis. If you want to kill some brain cells and drink, watch Terminator Genesis, because it's not fucking good at all. But Terminator Dark Fate starts off with two completely new characters. One called Daniela, and I can't remember. I think the boy is called Diego Ramos.
Right.
Completely unassuming. Kind of like the same thing they did in the Terminator. The original Terminator.
It's just kids.
It's just two completely unassuming people that are just going to work. They're talking to their dad. They're making their lunches. They're going to fucking. They're going to work. One kid wants to make it big in America, so he's sitting vlogging on his phone, uploading shit to Instagram. And then they drive to work. But on their drive to work, you see the two time orbs. One drops a woman called Grace, who I'm guessing you're not fucking bothered about spoilers.
I've already listened to the Twerp episode.
Oh, you've already seen
thing,
it.
so I've already had it
so
spoiled for me,
Grace falls from the time orb, and she is an enhanced soldier from the future sent to protect Daniela Ramos, or Danny is what she gets called. And then there's the other character, who is the other person that comes into the time orb is a new enhanced robot created by not Skynet, because Skynet fell.
It's Legion this time.
By Legion, yeah. Right. And this is called the Rev 9, played by the dude that played Ghost Rider in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., because I don't know his name. Something Luna, I think.
I'm not going to remember that.
I don't know. It's definitely not Diego Luna, because that was in Rogue One. But he's playing the new sort of infiltration unit that is essentially just the liquid metal Terminator from Terminator 2.
I've heard that he's more natural. Like the T-1000 was very. It was obviously not a human being. It's a very good acting job that he doesn't seem human. But at the same time, this is a lot more kind of natural. Like, if this was to actually infiltrate a base, it would actually get the job done.
Yeah, it's more intelligent in the sense that it's not just this weird kind of stunted human.
Yeah.
He has some human interactions. There's a part when he breaks into I think it's an immigration holding area.
Right.
Because they try and break through from Mexico City to Texas illegally because they think.
So they go to an ice facility.
Yeah, they go
immigration control.
Yeah, they get caught by immigration control because they're trying to break through, and they realise that Sarah Connor's with them, and she's wanted in every state in America.
Right.
And this Danny Ramos, who's breaching state regulations by trying to go from Mexico to Texas illegally, so they catch her in the sort of immigration control area, and there's one point where the Rev 9 Terminator just starts speaking in a Texan accent, and I was just thinking that would fucking happen. I like that. That's pretty smart.
If a computer knew would work, it would do that.
Yeah, if a computer was intelligent enough to infiltrate, because all the Terminators are meant to be infiltrators.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't it try and adapt to the culture and not be this kind of almost or definitely inhuman type of being?
Because I'd say when you look at Arnie, I always look at Arnie, I think of Woody from Toy Story, where like it's just like you pull a string and it just says a thing, and he's like, "I'll be back." And you can just hear somebody pulling the string back to get him to say something else.
Yeah, and so once you've got the two characters that drop from the future, Grace and the Rev 9, but they've changed the time orb and how the time orb interacts with the new, or in the new sort of timeline. In the original, it was this kind of ball of energy that created heat, and it would just burn through everything or anything that it came in contact with.
It makes a sphere, like it burns into the ground at one point.
Yeah, it burns into the ground and it cuts off the side of a large articulated lorry, a sort of big lorry, and you can see the burn marks and where it's cut down. But in this one, it has some weird kind of ice effect to it that I've never seen before. So when they land in the past from the new timeline, the time orb freezes everything around it, and because of that, it doesn't manage to land successfully onto the bridge that Grace tries to land on. It puts her through the bridge, freezes all the struts and stuff under the bridge, and she collapses right down through it. And it's the same with when the Rev 9 lands. Same thing. They all land naked because apparently it can't take clothes.
Still haven't figured that one out yet.
Nope. You need to get butt naked.
I was going to say, like, it was a whole new AI system. It's not Skynet. Skynet never launched. It becomes Legion, which is like a different whole other thing.
Yeah.
Maybe it was
totally not Skynet.
Yeah, totally legitimately legally distinct from Skynet. But I get the feeling that like if the way they must work it out in the head is like the last one burnt and melt stuff, this one freezes because it's someone took a different path to get from humanity to Skynet than humanity to Legion. Therefore, Legion would be programmed to think a different way, and maybe it found a different way.
Yeah, maybe
time travel.
The after effect of the time travel is completely different.
Yeah,
but yeah, there was actually a pretty cool scene when the Rev 9 goes back to the past. When he lands, the time orb materializes in the middle of a sort of flat and an apartment complex. Yeah, it's at the top during what I assume is the sort of washing day, because there's all these clotheslines around them, and it freezes the clothes solid.
Yeah.
And you just get this cool scene of the Rev 9 collapsing at the ground and all the clothes landing and shattering around them.
That's cool.
It was a pretty cool scene to watch.
Yeah.
And that's the thing about that's another good thing about the film is that there's a lot of cool scenes to watch.
Mm.
A lot of just really, really well shot scenes. There's a part where Arnie's Terminator and the Rev 9 Terminator are fighting underwater.
Right.
And you're sitting thinking they would sink immediately at the bottom. They wouldn't float about and try and fight.
Yeah.
They'd be like, no, because you've got the heavy, like, pure whatever steel they made the Terminators out of sinking to the bottom, and he's just got a hold of the Rev 9.
Yeah.
I mean, the Rev 9 I assume would be light nanomachines or light material that he'd be made out of. But you still think...
Yeah, he's still metal, technically.
You've still got the weight of Arnie pulling it out. I thought that was pretty cool to see. And how the Rev 9 makes weapons and splits himself apart.
Yeah.
Because he's got this weird endoskeleton thing, and he can send nanomachines off as a different part.
I did see that in the trailer. I was like, okay, that's cool.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool to see because he's got all the... He can change his hands into blades, and he can sort of take part of the nanomachine, throw it at them. It's
Nanosphere.
Like, it's just this massive black steel nanosphere that he throws at them, and it's pretty cool to watch. And they've done the characters right, I think.
Yeah.
Because the Danny Ramos is basically Sarah Connor from the Terminator. She's like, I work in a vehicle manufacturing plant.
I'm just a person. I wasn't supposed to be involved in the fight for humanity's future.
Yeah. And she does have a really cool point where she's like, I don't care what this future. I don't care if I am meant to be some big leader from the future, or I don't care if I'm meant to make the leader for the future. I'm not going to let this person die because Grace puts herself in fucking danger at all times. Blah blah blah. And then Sarah Connor's there just to kind of go, just fucking do it. It's your fate. Just
come on.
As I found out when I fixed the timeline and then a fucking Terminator popped back through time and blew my son away with a shotgun. That's a point. That's a point I will mention before we continue. They mention they pick up directly after Terminator 2. Right. Sarah Connor has stopped Judgment Day. She's in fucking Hawaii or something like that, enjoying a couple of drinks, and John Connor is up at the bar talking to a girl. Then the Terminator rises out of the ocean with a shotgun in his hand, just walks up and shoots probably 11-year-old John Connor in the chest.
Damn.
They did not. I mean, it's clearly a digital a sort of recreation of how young.
But you say the Terminator, is it Arnie or is it like...
It's Arnie.
That's so fucked up. I love it.
It's incredibly fucked up. Considering what happened in Terminator 2.
Yeah. All the love, all the affection.
Exactly.
Between,
you think in Terminator 2, John Connor sees this as a father figure. Yeah. So when he sees the Terminator comes in and goes, oh, we killed him. Oh, man, we're tight with this guy. Why? Yes, bang, shotgun. That's got to be... It was a good scene because you're just thinking, right, because you think of how the implications it had for John, because John wouldn't hate the Terminator when it's coming at him, or he'd be confused because thinking, we burnt you, why are you here? But then Sarah Connor immediately has that thought of, shit, we didn't kill them all. John gets shot away, then that switch in Sarah Connor's head goes from, I can trust Terminators can be our friends, to fuck all Terminators. But she doesn't kill that Terminator because obviously she has other shit to deal with, and she's in a public place. She can't start firing down on a Terminator. Yeah. Because to her knowledge, she killed all the Terminators by stopping Judgment Day. If
you watch your son get shotgunned by fucking Arnie, you'd probably spend about a good 5 minutes in shock.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But one thing they do mention in Terminator Dark Fate, and something that I kind of forgot, was the fact that the skin that they put on Terminators is living tissue. So it ages. Right. And my whole point was, why the fuck is Arnie looking so old as a Terminator here? Then they explain it. It's living tissue. It can age because it's an infiltration unit. Yeah. And I still kind of thought, it's kind of weird.
Like, on the one hand, yeah, but on the other hand, no. Yeah. Like, really big no to that one.
Because, I mean, why would you go from... Obviously, it wouldn't really matter. It's all just to do for blending in. But you would go from the kind of massive physique of early 80s or late 80s Arnold to just the kind of still fairly...
Like, old man
shredded, ripped. Old man ripped physique of modern or current Arnie. And it's just thinking, it'd be a weird thing to say, but a weird thing if they put it in that it would just be like his head would be a bit older, but he still had the young Arnie body. But no, it would make sense for the infiltration unit to blending in with society.
Yeah, we've never thought of the long game in that way before.
Yeah, and the whole point of the Terminators is you kill it as quick as it shows up. So to have one actually living for past, I think it was 20 odd years since Terminator 2, maybe longer.
I would assume it was 80s, 90s.
Terminator 2 came out 91, 92 maybe.
Well, it's set in the early 90s, late 80s.
Yeah.
Because Guns N' Roses is still relevant.
Yeah, Guns N' Roses and John Connor is incredibly 90s.
So I'd say it's going to actually be closer to about 30, 40
Yeah.
years. So yeah, you would age up to a bit of a beer gut, bit of grey hair in there as well. Like you would, that does make a lot of sense.
Yeah. And what else makes a lot of sense is how Sarah Connor's character has developed. She is fucking done with this shit. She is surly. She hates everything. She's very annoyed by this whole thing. So her whole purpose now is just to kill Terminators where they pop up.
She is like 5 bad days away from becoming Jamie Lee Curtis in the new Halloween movie.
Yeah, she's kind of already there.
Yeah,
she hides. One of the weird points that they mention in the movie is that she hides her mobile phone in a bag of crisps because apparently the foil of the crisps stops the crisp bag stops signals getting to her phone.
A little Alex Jones, but okay.
It's a little Alex Jones, but then when she meets up with the T-800 later on, the T-800 calls her out and it says, "You do realise that has no tactical advantage whatsoever. You're just a crazy woman putting your phone in a bag of crisps." Because you find out that Sarah Connor's been getting these texts with exact coordinates, with exact times and dates, saying that there's going to be a Terminator here. Show up here, kill it. And the texts are always ended with like the same stamp for John.
Right.
And it's the she'll be getting hundreds and hundreds of these texts, and that's how she meets up with Danny and Grace, because she gets word that the Rev 9 is going to be on this bridge in Mexico City at this time, blah blah blah. Then through the progression of the story, you find out that it's the T-800 who has learned to change his programming almost. Right. So he then almost learns remorse for killing John. So instead of deciding to just shut down because his primary function has been accomplished, he then decides, I'm going to give Sarah Connor's life purpose. This is explained very weirdly in the movie, because the Terminator says something along the lines of, "You showed me that my life could be more than just killing people mindlessly. I could carve out my own path. I gave you these coordinates so you could do something that you wanted to do, and I could give your life purpose." I'm just thinking, you're a Terminator.
First things first, you carve your purpose in her son's chest with a shotgun.
Yeah. Did you forget at the start of this movie, within 5 minutes, you shot her son with a shotgun at point blank range? There's not much of that boy left.
He ragdolled into a pool.
He smashed through the bar.
This is not okay. I can't humanize you at all.
Yeah. And oddly enough, Arnie's probably one of the most human characters in the movie. Because Grace, she plays the... I think the actress' name is Mackenzie Davis, I want to say. Mackenzie something.
It does sound familiar.
She plays the character well, I suppose, but she plays the soldier a bit too well. Because everything about her is just, I have a mission. Shut up. Listen to me. You can't do this. You can't risk your life. You're the leader of the new rebel alliance.
She's from the future.
Yeah, she's from the future.
She has lived through hell and back. She's an apocalypse survivor.
Yeah,
I wouldn't expect her to be all like hugs and bunnies and
but that it doesn't break. She stays this kind of surly character right up until her eventual death, because she's the Kyle Reese character that comes back to save humanity. Right. She has to die. Okay. And how she dies is she uses the power core for her enhancements to basically melt the Rev 9 into the ground, because it's basically just this massive energy surge that Danny stabs into the eye of the Rev 9. The Rev 9 melts, the Rev 9 is in the process of shutting down, and it keeps trying to clamber back up and get Danny. Then the T-800 just goes, fuck it, for John, and just yeets himself into the I think they're fighting at the Hoover Dam or something like that, a big hydroelectric plant. Yeah. So then he's at the bottom of this massive sort of silo, kind of trying to clamber back up. Then the T-800 just goes, for John, falls on top of him, stops him getting out. So they're all getting shocked and melted and shit.
That's so good.
It was
for John. Especially when you describe it as a yeet.
Because he was sitting there, Danny stabs him in the eye, and the two of them are fighting still, and then the T-800 grabs him and falls down into the silo, and they both get impaled on these spike things as the lightning from the power source is crackling all around them, and then he just sticks his arm out and holds him down and just goes, for John, and then dies. But it was I went to see it at the View Cinema in Livingston. Right. It was a very enjoyable movie, but not Terminator 2 level, but definitely nowhere near as bad as T3, Salvation, or Genesis. In fact, it definitely wipes its fucking metal dick all over all three of those movies.
I've been thinking about this just as a general retrospective, because my brother just saw the movie, and again, it's the same kind of. It's good.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not quite the Force Awakens of the Terminator series.
It's people say it's good. It's not great. It's good enough, and I think it's a sad thing that we have three classic sci-fi horror kind of like franchises that have been shot on so badly for the last couple 20 years.
I'm struggling to think what they are. Obviously, Terminator.
Yeah.
Alien.
Mm-hmm.
And
Predator.
Oh yeah.
How good are the first couple Predator movies?
Dude. Predator 1 and Predator 2 are fucking outstanding. I don't care what anybody says. People can shit on Danny Glover's Predator 2 all they want, but I fucking love that movie.
That's the thing is they're good 80s action movies, and the people who are making the remakes are all fans. They are all people who want to play with these toys.
Yeah,
but no one seems to get it right.
No one gets it right. The guy who directed The Predators, the new one, was in the very first Predator movie.
Oh, no.
He was the guy that was reading all the comic books. A guy named Shane Black. He directed Iron Man 3. Or he either directed Iron Man 3 or Thor 2. But he was in the very first Predator movie, so he knows the process behind making that first movie. And then he puts out that pile of shit.
Is that not The Predator?
Yeah, that's The Predators.
Oh, you mean no? That there was The Predator and there's Predators. Predators is the one with the samurai battle.
Predators. That's the one with crazy Lawrence Fishburne and Topher Grace and shit. The Predators. That's the Predator is the new one.
The Predator was the one with the Alpha Predator and Keegan-Michael Key.
Yeah, and it's so bad.
I wanted that to be so good, and then everyone who went to see it was like, "This is horrible."
Yeah, I mean, the coolest thing for me was seeing. I think Yvonne Strahovski was in there from Chuck. I was like, good to see you're still working.
Don't know who that is, but it's if she's one of those like kind of niche characters that you fell for, and you're like, quite like that
just
person.
Good looking Australian woman, insanely tall.
Okay,
very leggy blonde. It's nice.
I like the sound of this, but I just we find these three great franchises, these prime bait,
shit in the bed, and
just every time they step up to plate, whiffing it.
Yeah.
But it's good to see that Terminator got a little bit of its foot in
they've got a toehold. They've got a toehold.
They figured out how to stand up.
Yeah, they figured out how to stand up again, because I think Predator is done. Aliens is limping on, because there was Alien Covenant, which was horrible. Yeah. It was a fucking anomalous wreck.
It's just the fact that there's no good adaptation of them. No games, no TV shows, no nothing.
You played Alien Isolation?
Alien Isolation is I suppose that
probably the exception.
Alien Colonial Marines.
No, Colonial Marines was shit.
Colonial Marines is so bad it was almost resulted in a lawsuit.
I want to take every single copy of that game and reduce it to toilet paper and wipe my ass with it. That's how annoyed at this game I am.
I forgot something in the Fallout 76 thing we were talking about earlier. The company we talked about, ZeniMax, is being told by the Australian government they have a very strong consumer protection agency out there. So if you have a complaint, 9 times out of 10, if you're the customer, you will win over a company.
Yeah.
And it's happened again, because ZeniMax were refusing to give customers refunds for Fallout 76, and the Australian Consumers Association said, no, you will be handing out refunds.
Be giving them refunds.
This is a bad game. You owe these people a refund.
Yeah.
So I forgot to mention that, because it was one of the funny little notes.
True, and fucking rightly so. If you're putting out a subpar product, you need to be called to task, and that leads more into the Aliens movies, because they're making another movie after Alien Covenant. So you had it's all to do with this new series of films that
it's part of like the Promethean arc.
Ridley Scott is trying to make, because the Prometheus, was it Prometheus?
Prometheus, I was okay with Prometheus.
It was okay if you distance it from Alien.
Yeah, if it was its own
if
Alien,
you have it in the Alien universe, but not connected to Ripley, not connected to the Nostromo, and you just have it as its own separate thing, it's a decent flick. But then you go from that to Alien Covenant, and the only linking factor in that being
Eggs and the Facehugger and stuff like that.
Eggs, the Facehugger, and David, who genocides an entire race of people. The engineers, David goes to their home planet and just drops one of those bombs with the black ink in it.
Right.
Just kills them all. Because he wanted to see what it does. It's just like, you're not a fucking likable character. And then, what was his name?
Oh, I forgot that.
It doesn't matter.
That's part of the whole Promethean thing of that, is that they find the raw, like, bacterial form of what becomes aliens in like millions of years of evolution, and they just eat it into.
Yeah, they just throw it in.
I forgot about that.
They just keep eating it. They keep fucking trying it. These guys made the xenomorphs, but Ridley Scott doesn't do a simple A to B story. He's got to be like, oh, let's make the journey from A to B billions of years, and then if the final product is E, we are never getting to xenomorphs, because the alien that they fight in Alien Covenant isn't a xenomorph, it's a protomorph, so it's not even the final stage of the prototype that becomes a xenomorph. It's still some weird shitty offshoot, and it's fucking horrible.
I think I'd love to see a franchise fully explained, like in the way that Game of Thrones season 1 through 8, it's a weird journey to take, but now that we understand all of it, things make a bit more sense. And I think if you were going to do the entire franchise, Aliens would be a pretty good one.
Yeah, Aliens would be a great franchise to see, because there's so much in there that you need to talk about. Because you had a good story with Prometheus, because you're explaining where they all come from. Explain how humanity goes up to the stars. Explain what the fuck Weyland-Yutani is. Explain... I mean, Ripley's story in of itself is interesting enough to focus on. But you're never going to get Sigourney Weaver back. Sigourney Weaver said, you have fucked it up too many times.
I have come back for this shit too many times.
Yeah, you made me come back for Alien 3, you made me come back for Alien Resurrection. I am fucking done. And I think it stands with the rule that all these franchises had 2 good movies and that's it. Because Alien is fucking superb. Aliens, untouchable. As with Terminator and Terminator 2, Predator and Predator 2. You're never going to get better films than those. And people keep trying to, and I think at this point, it's our only choice is then to just leave them. Like, leave it at what you've done, because you're not going to get any better than it.
Yeah. You need, I think the problem as well, that these movies started off as single movies.
Yeah.
And it would go, oh, we need a sequel. Oh, we need another sequel. And at that point, somebody's like, I'm just going to make it up this time.
Yeah, let's just keep milking that. Like, Ripley is a clone of a clone who is now the alien queen. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
You want to go to lunch?
Yeah.
That's a good thing.
We rocked this one out.
Just hire the Asian prostitutes and let's have the rap part. Let's do this.
I just think that there was movies made to be single movies that were smash hits, and then some coked up producer goes, another one, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, we have no ideas.
Yeah, and I think
because I think that's what scared Hollywood off of trilogies for all, because trilogies are a very good way of making movies now. It seems that people have found the pacing.
I think it also takes a lot of stones to leave it at a trilogy, because you've just reminded me of something else I kind of wanted to get your opinion on. There is going to be confirmed a 4th Matrix movie with Keanu Reeves coming back as Neo, Carrie-Anne Moss coming back as Trinity.
Yes,
Trinity. I haven't seen them in a while.
No one has.
I went back and rewatched Reloaded and Revolutions. Those movies are dog shit. the first Matrix is good, but it's not groundbreaking like it used to be.
It's groundbreaking if you just saw it in 2000s.
Yeah. If you've seen it maybe a couple of times, I watched the Matrix trilogy way too many times when I was younger, because it was the cool thing. Everybody watched it.
But it's got Michael B. Jordan's in there as well.
Michael B. Jordan's in there, yeah.
That's one of those things where this might work. I'm just going to leave it, step back, let's see what happens, and then we'll go from there.
Oddly enough, this current stint of remaking movies, I kind of blame on Halloween. Because how fucking good was Halloween? People realised that they want the old school horror and the old school movies to come back, and then Halloween did it, so they thought everyone likes it.
Remakes have been going on for a while. I think they're just...
But I think Halloween doing it right is making more of them come to the forefront.
It's just that I think what's happened is that remake engine churns along about 18 years or so, and we've now hit the point where shit we liked is at that 18-year mark, where it just gets dragged forward, and it's turn to come through. So it's all stuff we've seen. There's been tons of remakes and remasters and stuff of shit that we never watched that much.
You just reminded me of something.
We've worked our way through to the point of this is shit that we now have to rewatch or watch the unrequested sequel to. Yeah.
And speaking of unrequested sequel, which we'll get on in a second, but I'll just talk about this quickly first. I seen a couple of posts on Twitter of people saying, we've heard rumour that John Boyega is somehow attached to the Princess Bride remake. I thought, people were saying, oh, if he's playing Wesley, I'd be down for it. I went, no, John Boyega's a good actor, but stay the fuck away.
Was the Princess Bride not one of those things that there was several movies that's like, do not fucking touch this movie, don't try,
leave it.
You can remaster it, you can re-upgrade it, whatever. We'll
release it for a 30th or for an anniversary.
We'll hand over cash, hand over fist for that, with just some extra commentary or something like that. We will give you a full DVD price for just a touched up version. Do not remake. And then immediately it's like, oh well, if they're putting that guy in it that I like, I guess we'll allow it.
Like, dude, don't fucking touch it. The Princess Bride.
You just gave an inch, they're going to take a mile.
Yeah, and who cares if it's John Boyega playing Prince Wesley? I mean, they could get the fucking Charles Dance in there. That guy's a fantastic actor. I'm still not going to fucking watch it. Imagine that guy's interpretation of Prince Wesley, because Prince Wesley's a great fighter. And he's, like, in the book, apparently, it said that when he was fighting, it was like seeing a shadow move.
Yeah.
Charles Dance ain't going to move like a shadow. Shadow. That
I was going to say, like, do you know another Charles Dance that would actually be a good in a sword fight? I don't think he's got it in him.
Oh, apparently he's going to be in the new Star Wars.
Ooh.
I'm not talking about a movie. I'm talking about he's going to be in a show as either a Jedi or a Sith.
Okay. As a Sith Lord, like as like not quite Emperor Palpatine, but someone in that type of supervisory Sith role, because that's the way it works. There's always the young, like, martial arts expert Sith, and then there's the old supervisor Sith.
Yeah, there's
that sits
the
at the back
too.
puppeting the
yeah, there's the Palpatine executive managing director.
Yeah,
but
you just have Yoda going, there is another, and it's Charles Dance. You're like, all right then, let's settle in for the second half of this movie.
See what this shit's doing. But yeah, the Bill and Ted sequel, talking about unnecessary sequels.
Yeah,
it's not going to be good. Keanu Reeves is experiencing a bit of a renaissance right now, and I think he's riding that, and I think that's going to carry into Bill and Ted.
He's been doing that, that's been hinted at for a while though. I think this has been in production for about 18 months.
Yeah.
That's when I first started seeing rumours of a Bill and Ted thing. I'm like, I don't really give that much of a shit about Bill and Ted, but...
Now, I love the first two Bill and Ted movies, and now that there's going to be a third one, I think the two of them are too old to play those characters.
And the only way they can do it is to do it as a bit of, they're too old to be these characters.
Yeah, and it's going to be bad. It's going to be like Dumb and Dumber 2. It's going to be painful to watch. I don't want it.
Dumb and Dumber, but this time it might actually be related to serious medical conditions.
The opening part of that, of Dumb and Dumber 2 is... what the fuck's his name? Not Jim Carrey, the other guy. Jeff Daniels.
No, he's just the other guy.
He
doesn't have a name. He's just the other guy.
So Jeff Daniels keeps going to this mental institution to check up on Jim Carrey's character, and because the whole thing is he's stuck in a wheelchair. He hasn't he hasn't cut his hair, cut his beard, and like that. So he's just sitting there with this kind of blank expression on his face for 30 odd years. Okay. And then at one point he shits himself and then laughs in Jeff Daniels' face and says, "I fucking fooled you, man." Obviously he doesn't swear because I think it's a PG movie. He just goes, "I got you, man. I made you come here for 30 years, wipe my ass, make sure I pissed." Oh, we're in for this kind of a movie.
Okay.
Dumb and Dumber 2 was bad. So fucking bad.
I remember I can't remember which bit it is, but there's a Family Guy sketch where Peter just gives up within like 30 seconds of a screening. Like, he walks into a screening, sits down, they show, "I'm this thing, oh no, I'm the worst thing of this part," and he stands up and goes, "Done," and walks out. I can just imagine you walking at the cinema going, "Nope, done."
I wasn't even in a cinema. I picked up my Xbox controller and went, "Nope, none of that shit."
we are not doing this.
I do not pay £5 a month for this shit.
I'm just thinking of like a weird, like perfect series of tangents from what we've been discussing. I found old clips of Arsenio Hall. Okay. He was a US comedian, and he's still a talk show host. He's one of the longest running talk show hosts in America, I think. Yeah.
I think he's the only one that's still doing that show hasn't changed hands.
He was doing a bit way back, and it was when somebody was on, and it was a protester young, something to do with somebody yelled at him, "Why don't you have gay Hollywood celebrities on to discuss the gay issue of the 80s? Why don't you have gay representation on your show?" And Arsenio just lays into this guy for 5 minutes, like, "Fuck you, I do have gay people on here, you just don't know about it. There's people here who can't come out." And he just goes on a bit like, "Look, buddy, stop politicizing my show. Yeah. This is my show. Go fuck yourself." And I was like, that's a bold stance. It's a proper, a well thought out response to this guy who was basically just screaming and yelling because he wants, inclusion or whatever. Yeah. Dude, this is legendary. Can't believe we've never seen this show. We've never really listened to Arsenio Hall as a comedian before. And they had another clip of him interviewing Jason for Jason Takes Manhattan.
Jason Voorhees?
Yes.
Fucking hell.
It is unbelievable. It's 5 minutes of just Jason Voorhees sitting on a couch staring at Arsenio Hall and him trying to make typical chat show patter. Yeah. Fucking unreal. It's so funny. It's so funny because it works as a bit because it's the only time someone's been dumb enough to do this bit. But then,
I can imagine it would work the first time. But
funnily enough, he had a special come out on Netflix, Smart and Classy, I think it's called. It's fucking good. It's one of these great old comics or older comics coming back to give their take on modern life. And
Speaking,
it's actually pretty good.
just on that subject, actually, I did watch a bit of a Chris Tucker special on Netflix.
Tambourine.
Yeah, he has a bit talking about how he's never going to go to Wesley Snipes for money advice again. I thought that's fucking great. And the sign, and the line from it, I'm Blade. I don't pay fucking tax. Brilliant, absolutely fucking brilliant.
It's a good special, and the thing I liked about his was
I think most of his jokes are helped by his voice.
yeah.
Like the delivery of each joke is just boosted by how he actually says it, how his voice carries over.
Tucker's delivery has always been amazing, and he put a lot of work in that one, and I like that it was personal. I like that it probably hurt him to make that and be that honest in front of an audience and spend months polishing a routine that's about you how shit your divorce was. It's a good special. I'd highly recommend if you've got a chance. Chris Rock's Tambourine and
Chris Tucker.
Wait, I thought you were talking about Chris Rock.
No, I said Chris Tucker.
I have not seen Chris Tucker's special.
Chris Tucker's special's pretty good.
Oh, I thought you were talking about like Chris Rock's Tambourine.
I've seen a Chris Rock's Tambourine where he's talking about God's mistakes, which is pretty fucking funny. Again, I'm all for these older comedians coming back and doing specials, because
if they're still good.
Adam Sandler's special was pretty fucking funny. I didn't know he could be funny.
No one knew.
He's up there doing songs and he's going, have a whole these weird.
You're Happy Gilmore did this one.
It's like, dude, it was pretty funny. The only new special that I watched that I thought was complete and utter dog shit was Kevin James.
Right.
My parents recommended it to me. It's like, oh, dude, we don't like American comedians, but this one's really funny. And I watched it and I just thought, this is just that show King of Queens condensed into an hour and a half. It's all the same humour, all the same patter. I was like, nah, I ain't doing this. He spends 10 minutes talking about his daughter's birthday party at one point and how she got drunk on rum cake. I just thought, this is bad. Like, I'm expecting the shepherd's crook to come out and grab him by the neck and pull him and just go, it's okay.
The Oscars music just starts playing in the background.
The
You're like,
curtains close in front of him.
Take the hint, leave.
You're done now. Sit down. I did finally get around to watching the Dave Chappelle special, and
I think we talked about it because I think you were like, that was mean.
It was mean, but I don't think it was that bad.
It wasn't that bad.
It wasn't that.
It's the internet blows everything out of proportion.
I did find his the Chinese bit funnier than it should
It's
have been.
so
It's the bit when he just goes, "This is how I feel inside," and he does the face, and I was like,
I think the worst part of it is there's a half-second pause where you go, he's going to do the face, and he pulls his eyes up and you're like, oh no, he did
and he
it.
pulls the cheeks back.
If we're talking about vulgar comics though, I watched Nikki Glazer's stand-up special, Bangin'.
Okay.
And there's always the whole thing of, like female comedians just talk about their vaginas. Imagine you took that too far, but it was so far it was funny. This is an honest discussion about sex from a woman's perspective.
Nikki Glaser the one that said she wanted to be mollied by Ari Shaffir on Joe Rogan?
Yeah.
Something wrong with that woman.
She is a not quite nympho, but she has described something. Look, sometimes I just want to get fucked, and that's part of it comes up more special. Was sometimes I just wanted to get banged because it was easier than actually putting effort in and giving a blowjob. Because if I give a blowjob, I'll get with my head and whereas if I want to get fucked, I just lie there.
I get repetitive strain injury and move my neck.
Like that's it. If you're talking about like crass level humor, she did it and she made a great special out of it. I had a fucking riot watching that. There's part of it you're watching going, I can't show this to anyone. No one can know I've seen this. It's horrific. It was great at the same time.
I started watching clips of This Is Not Happening on YouTube. Finally got around to watching the one of Ralphie May.
Jeez, Ralphie May.
When he's talking about the gay wedding, I was just, dude, your son saw that. It's just the line when he goes, Daddy, he got a big old pee-pee. That's not a pee-pee, son, that's a dick.
Ralphie May was hilarious, but at the same time, I have the same fear of like the way the American comedians talk about drugs. I'm like, dude, statute of limitations might not be up on some of these stories.
Yeah.
I was listening to...
someone did recommend that I listen to Doug Stanhope. He had a special, I think it was called Beer Hall
Push is so fucking good.
It's fucking awful, man.
What?
It's so bad.
Oh no,
Doug Stanhope is not fucking funny. He's about as funny as getting shot in the balls. I find him as funny as arse cancer.
Is Beer Hall Push the one where he talks about letting his mum die?
Yeah.
It's so fucking funny.
There's a bit,
it's so brutal.
The clip that I originally got introduced to Doug Stanhope was the bit when he's talking about it's a very young Doug Stanhope, and one of the jokes is like, I was talking about my addiction to kiddie porn, and the way he says kitty means kitty.
Right.
And I said, "Oh, cats never seem to fucking mind." I said, "Plus, I'm not out there listening to kid porn." I was like, "Oh, I'm young enough that I can still bang high school chicks." I'm like, "You're not fucking funny, man. Sit down."
He's always made me laugh because he used to be on Charlie Brooker's Newswipe and Weekly Wipe and stuff.
All right, yeah.
He was the American that sat down. And
the American.
He literally was brought on as now our correspondent from America, Doug Stanhope, and he'd wheel out a chair, pull up it in the middle of a fucking road, and we'd just be filming because he lives in buttfuck nowhere in Arizona. He just plops his chair like his house chair, like the the house chair from like Frasier, where the dad just has this one chair that he just keeps using again and again.
The
and
lazy
again.
boy, yeah.
It's that he wheels that out into the middle of the thing, pulls out a drink, sits down, it plays like a wonky American anthem. And he says, "I'm Doug Stanhope, and that's why I drink," and that's his intro to his segment on the show every week. And he just goes through something about American politics, and he just this warped, horrific view of life, and just this absolute nihilism that just courses through his veins, and I find him fucking hysterical. But this
more power to you, but I can't. I physically cannot.
Oh, the bit about his mum died is fucking horrible. But we were quoting that for days at work afterwards. That's the problem. If you have people who are in that sick comedy mindset, you just keep feeding each other more and more and more.
And you know, I'm always down for some sick comedy, but I just something about him. I didn't think he was funny. I thought his delivery was a bit off, and I thought the jokes that he was telling just weren't funny.
He's either your thing or he's not.
He's definitely Marmite.
I just, who else was there? Was there anyone else that I watched recently? I'm trying to remember because I've seen a few specials that I was like, I kind of like this one, and the Arsenio Hall one was really good. I really can't believe Chris Tucker did something good for some reason.
Chris
don't know
Tucker,
what it is.
his special was pretty good. Yeah, I think he's got 2 specials in it, both on Netflix. Definitely worth a watch because most people see him as that fucking annoying guy on Rush Hour, but as with most sort of 80s, 90s, 2000s comedy stars, they had a pretty decent grounding in stand-up comedy. Yeah. So they've got like that to fall back on, and I think more people are
9 times out of 10 it was a stand-up comic who was offered a movie deal.
Yeah. I mean, you look at George Carlin in Bill and Ted.
Yeah.
He was Rufus in Bill and Ted. So you think most people, if they were successful comedians, probably parlayed that into a movie career at some point.
Yeah. I would love to I want to hear what Eddie Murphy has to say though. Because they've been talking about that. Well, I don't know. They've not. I don't think I've seen it confirmed. I keep hearing numbers like 70 million for a special, and I'm like, but when?
I heard Netflix have locked him down into a 4 special deal.
Shit.
He's apparently he was shopping around trying to get networks and shit. The Netflix just threw money at him. I mean, that's one story that I heard.
I like that Dave Netflix went, no, we're taking this, Eddie. We're taking this seriously. Look, bang.
Just shit. That's a lot of zeros. But I think Eddie Murphy needs to sort out his jokes because if he tells the same gay jokes that he used to, he's going to get in a lot of shit.
Well, he has said, I would take it immediately in a heartbeat if I had anything to say. And I was like, oh, that's good. Yeah. That's artistic integrity. Yeah. In a medium that most people don't think is that artistic or has its own integrity, but proper stand-up comedy has a really honest way of like putting things out there. Yeah. So if he's waiting to have something to say, and he is, I think he probably was holding off for a bit more money because why wouldn't you? Yeah. If you've got the leverage, why wouldn't you? But I would say why not go for it if he has something to say, and if he has, I don't know if he'd have 4 specials in him, but 1 or 2.
I think he's got 1 fucking outstanding special in him. I guarantee that much. But 2, I think that may be a bit of a push. Plus, I don't think
there's no way there's not 1. Yeah, I'd say maybe 2.
There's 1 there. And there's 1 bubbling away at the back of his head, but two might be a bit of a push. But that's the thing. All comics in general are now measured against the success of those who are above them, and I don't think there's anybody that's really dethroning Kevin Hart right now. I don't like him. I don't think he's fucking funny, but he is making waves in comedy. He's making money. He's making big fucking statements.
I know he's not everyone's favorite. I cannot wait to hear from him. Having heard him on Joe Rogan, having seen how introspective and mindful he is in a way, he is not as he looks very material from the outset. I don't think he is. I think there's something in that man that is constantly working and pushing himself further and faster. I cannot wait to hear him after he's recovered from this car crash. Yeah, because he is barely walking.
Yeah, it was the near fatal.
Yeah. Severed spinal column and stuff like that, and broken back, and you're like, I cannot wait
Yeah.
to hear him speak again.
And I think, despite the fact that he's not my cup of tea, he is objectively the greatest comedian on the circuit right now, because he's selling out. Not selling it in that sense. He's selling at arenas, and he's basically his brand of comedy's not really changed. He's kind of keeping it consistent, and I think people have to kind of measure himself up against that bar, and that's going to be a factor in sort of Eddie Murphy's thinking when he's looking at the current situation with the sort of comedy circuit. Just thinking, can I break into that again? Can I be that again? Because Eddie Murphy was the biggest comedian of the 90s.
Every comic who goes around now was inspired by Eddie Murphy.
Yeah, I mean, you have to look at his SNL career, his stand-up career.
Fucking Raw. Jesus.
Yeah, Raw, holy shit. The only reason people bought purple jumpsuits.
The only reason to ever buy a purple jumpsuit.
Yeah, I mean, that thing's got a chafe.
No.
I think Scrubs got it right when they could barely walk in those fucking things.
That's a fucking great bit.
Yeah.
They're like, we bought this because we thought it looked cool.
Now they can't move because it's so solid.
We've already said that ain't coming back. It's like, oh hell no.
Yeah.
I am 50. Fuck you.
Yeah. I don't blame him.
I am not putting myself into that.
Yeah, I mean, you've got to imagine at some point you have to force those things on. Fuck that. But I greatly await the coming back of the older comedians.
That's the only thing I think might be holding Eddie Murphy back, is I need to beat Raw.
Yeah, you need to beat Raw. I can't
come back half cocked. I gotta go in for it, and I don't know if who he's looking at right now, because I don't think he would be that worried about Kevin Hart.
Yeah.
I don't think he's putting himself there. I think his marker is Chappelle.
Yeah. I can use Kevin Hart just in the sense of kind of illustrating.
Oh yeah,
these guys are at the top.
This is as high as it gets.
This is where he used to be.
Yeah, because that's one thing we forget is right before Shrek, he is a hot comedy property.
Yeah.
In a term we barely understand. Like, the Kevin Hart comparison is apt, but comically, Dave Chappelle.
Yeah.
As far as I'm meaning Dave Chappelle, because I don't think Kevin Hart and Eddie Murphy are quite the same.
Yeah.
There's a lot more savagery in Eddie Murphy's day, but he's acknowledged that. So when he comes back, it is going to be a different animal than what we expect.
I think it's going to be definitely worth a watch, because I think he has some shit to say. He's had some pretty rough experiences over the past decade or so. I think he's got some shit to say.
Yeah.
And good or bad, I'm going to be able to watch it, because I think 90s Dom needs to see this.
Yeah.
Because the amount of shit that we used to watch when you were younger that had Eddie Murphy in it, all the movies, all the cartoons and shit that had Eddie Murphy in it. Like, Eddie Murphy voices this character, Eddie Murphy's this guy, or fucking here's Nutty Professor 5 billion with when the entire planet is now Eddie Murphy. Just to see Eddie Murphy when he's put that shit behind him and he's now doing different comedy, I think I need to watch it. I definitely think if Eddie Murphy does come back, I think we need to watch it. Absolutely, just for the sheer spectacle of the whole thing.
Oh yeah,
but
we can have a movie night.
We can have a movie night. Yeah, we can drink. I don't really drink anymore, but I just can't be bothered with drinking. Like it's not something
It's not something we talked about on the podcast, but we both kind of tried to do Sober October, and we both failed, but we did a lot better than we thought we would.
I can't remember what knocked me off for Sober October, but it was probably something horrific.
It was something to do with a rugby game, because I texted you saying I just fucked up Sober October because I needed to have whiskey with steak.
Oh,
because I needed it one night.
I was watching the New Zealand England game.
Yeah,
and I was fucking New Zealand as fuck, because there's the inherent rule in any Scottish sport that every Scottish person supports two teams, Scotland in whatever sport they're playing, and any team that's playing England.
Yes.
Anybody but England, ABE is the
which actually surprised Americans, who saw a tweet that Scottish Rugby put out something on their official Twitter saying, "We just want to say good luck to the English." The response to which was somebody saying, "Fuck off." It is anyone but England. And they're like, "Really? Is it that bad?" I'm like, "Yes, fuck the English."
Anybody but England. It's more because if they win something, we as Scottish people never hear the end of it from English people that happen to be in our country.
They won a World Cup once. It was 70 years ago.
They won two Rugby World Cups, and they still haven't shut the fuck up about it.
Yes.
Despite the fact that previous to this World Cup that's just finished, the past two times that they played Scotland, we beat them and we drew with them. Thus meaning we still get to keep the trophy that we play for every time we play. So fuck them. But yeah, I was watching New Zealand just get their shit pushed in by England. Was like, nope, I need a whiskey. This isn't good.
And another one, and another one. Okay. But yeah, I think it has. I've been working on that a lot this year, and I think the last 2 months have definitely changed my perspective on how much alcohol I want to drink. I think it's just been something I've been working towards for the last couple of years in general. But I think the last couple of months have really solidified it for me because I was just stuff that I would deal with outside of like podcast. I've just been like, I've been a lot better the last couple of months. Fitness wise, not much has changed, but I like the hours it adds to your day.
Yeah, if you're not going out drinking as much as you used to, you definitely find that you've just got more time to do shit. Because you used to find that when you were drinking a lot, and obviously I cut way the fuck down, because I started back when everyone does when they first turn 20, 21. You start drinking a shit ton. I was out every weekend drinking, and
second, you've got disposable income, and nothing legally stopping you.
Yeah, there was a comedian that I was telling you about, Randy Feltface.
Yes,
Australian comedian that is basically a hand operated puppet, a really well designed hand operated puppet. But the guy that voices him is Heath McIver. Right. Very Scottish name for a very Australian dude. But he talks about that when he stopped drinking, he noticed, like you, he had just so much free time, because most of the time when you're drinking, you kind of exist in the hours that you're not drinking. More often than not, you're just kind of bobbing along. Yeah. Imagine it's kind of being in a bottle. You pop out the bottle.
For me, it's
go
more
for fucking drink. Then you pop back in the bottle and you bob along again.
It is more to do with the fact that as soon as I take that drink, there's stuff I can't do.
Yeah.
I can't go. I don't really want to go. I could probably go for a run, but I don't want to go for a run.
Yeah.
I can't. I don't want to go into the weights. I don't want to go like weightlifting or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just never when you're drunk. Like,
no, absolutely not.
Like, weightlifting has a lot to do with confidence. But being drunk on a half a bottle of vodka and then doing deadlifts is going to put you in the fucking hospital, mate.
Yeah, you're going to spew your load right there in the gym or in your front room, wherever the fuck you seem to be lifting.
Yeah, and I just feel like the more time I have where I'm mentally just on 100%, I'm okay with it now.
Yeah.
Where before I was like, I just want to switch off.
Yeah.
I'll have a drink. But then I realised afterwards, I'm like, I really could have done with going to the gym this evening. I shouldn't have had that drink. And I found myself doing that a couple times a week, and I was like, the fuck am I doing? What am I doing?
For me, it was just, most people say that when they have a drink, it's at the end of a long, stressful week, or it's at the end of a pretty harsh day at work, and that's their reward, that's their end goal, their carrot on the stick for getting through that day. And I'm just thinking, if your end goal is to get through the day, go home and have a beer, have a glass of wine, have a whiskey, have a vodka, that is a shit goal.
It's kind of dangerous as well, because
it's very dangerous.
It creates alcohol as a almost Pavlovian response,
gift, as a treat,
and it becomes a thing of like, I expect this treat at the end of the week, and then all it takes is one little slip of, I should get this treat every day. Why not?
Yeah,
it's that same indulgence that leads to people being overweight. I think you can easily fall in that trap. So I mean, I'm definitely failed sober October spectacularly.
Yeah.
But I am still quite happy with how it's changed, and I'll be seeing how I do with different amounts of drinking throughout coming months, which is good over Christmas as well, because you're about to be handed a lot of drinks over Christmas.
When you get to because we're almost 30.
Some of us closer than others, yes.
So, I mean, by months. Like,
you're not going to make my life hell for those 5 months.
Fuck no.
Yes, you are.
Absolutely not. Dude, it's closer to 6, but... No,
he's already started, kids. Dude, I'm already getting picked on.
We're born in 91. No one gives a fuck. No one. Don't make fun of someone for getting older. Getting older is not for pussies. Just get on with it. But
spoken like an old person.
Fuck 'em. My knee hurts whenever I stand up. But no, when you get older, people struggle to figure out what to get you for Christmas. So you will get handed an inordinate amount of booze. I still have 6 or 7 bottles of whiskey that I haven't even fucking opened.
Yeah.
Because people just go, oh, Dom, you like whiskey? Here's a bottle of Johnny Walker. I'm like, I'll put it next to my other bottles of Johnny Walker. I have almost the entirety of the Power Rangers colours represented in Johnny Walker bottles. If they made a Johnny Walker green, I'd have the full set.
Frankly, the best way to enjoy the Power Rangers.
Hey, Colin the Megazord. Woo!
Parvati Rex, I got tiny arms.
Tyrannosaurus, I can't pick up my phone.
That being said, I've actually been asked, how do we feel about doing a drunken episode of the podcast? I'm like, it probably won't go that well.
Yeah, it wouldn't go that well, because I
think maintaining that sweet spot is the problem, though.
Yeah.
We need to be at the right point, and it needs to be probably no longer than an hour.
Yeah, it would need to be a tight 60 minutes, but I don't know about your mileage may vary, but when I drink, I tend to say whatever is in the back dark shit in my brain. Yeah. I'll say stupid things like, for example, because you always did really well at school. I'd be like, remember in fucking high school when you did fucking well at your exams? I didn't, you cunt. And it would just be 60 minutes of that, and no one wants to see that. That's why I stopped drinking as much as I did because I'm not a good drunk.
I think
I'm not the happy, jovial kind of like, fuck it, like one of those kind of drunks.
You're not a mate when you're drunk.
I'm not
some
a
people
lad.
just transform into the lad, the mate.
Yeah,
and
the
all
bloke. They just, I'm a bloke. Go about, hand people drinks. Blokey bloke. Like,
Yeah.
I'm one of those cunts. No, I'm one of those kind of. You don't know how fucking good you've got it, man. Like, you fucking scumbag. Like, fucking punch you in the jaw. I'm not a good drunk.
I get. It depends. If it depends how I walk into the room to have a drink. If I'm in a bad mood, I just go into a kind of sullen, same kind of dark bad mood.
Yeah.
But if I'm kind of chatty, I'm feeling kind of like go lucky a bit.
Yeah.
Same thing, just a bit happier, a bit more chatty, a bit more talkative. So, because I know immediately after I'm saying like, oh yeah, we're gonna try and drink a little bit less coming up to Christmas, and immediately I remember there's a work night out in like late November.
Yeah.
So we shall see about how well I stick to that one.
Also, just as a general rule of thumb, don't make fun of your friends that do drink a bit too much, because that is. I mean, everyone at some point will get hungover. Don't just go, oh, here comes Drunkenstein. Like, yeah.
Is that a thing?
Yeah, but my family do it constantly.
Oh, right, okay.
It's more.
But if it's a family thing, that's different, because that's
no, it's a family thing that I see most of. But most people that I've seen out with that when they get a bit drunk, it's like, oh, were you out last night? Oh, fucking moron, you. It's all self-inflicted. Like, no, just say it's happened to you at some point. Like, you will get hungover in your life. Just let it happen. Don't make fun of that person.
It's funny to do it to family though. Because normally, you'll have to deal, like, as the family, you'll have to deal with that person the day afterwards.
Yeah.
So you've kind of earned the right to take the piss a bit. So if you happen to walk up and accidentally drop a stack of pots and pans right outside the bedroom, when they're still not quite fully recovered,
beat the shit out of a drum.
Yeah, if you have to do it, the family is the right place to do that. Keep it in the family, kids.
Yeah.
But no, I never imagined somebody walking into a room a bit rough and then getting slagged off by their mates, other than the usual kind of bad night last night or great night.
You just kind of sit there like, you had a rough night last night, and then just you're talking about it, but it's something that's happened quite a lot in my family, and I've started seeing it more with other groups of people that I used to hang around with. They've all just kind of been like, they drink quite frequently, but the minute someone else comes in that's hungover that they weren't drinking with, it all of a sudden becomes a slagging match for them. Like, they're walking up and they're fucking bellowing in their ear. It's like, why? That's just bullying. Like, don't be a dick. Speaking of don't be a dick, there's something that I wanted to bring up because it is fairly fucking horrific. You've heard me talk about my ups and downs with the valley folk and how I've been
ups and downs like a valley.
Yeah, like peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys.
Peaks and valleys, yeah. That could be the behind the curtains type things. Like, welcome to Peaks and Valleys with Tom Anderson. Here we talk about the valley folk and how they are just shit in the bed right now. I think it was 2, maybe 3 days ago. At this, no.
I think you said it was November
2,
2nd and 3rd. Yeah.
2nd or 3rd. So 4, maybe 3 days ago. Recently it came out that the Valley Folk was downsizing from 4 people to 3 as their main cast because they were. Actually, no, I won't get into that just now. I'm going to backpedal a bit. The Valley Folk entered the competition called Bring the Funny. And that was a big ensemble sort of comedy show where it was all compete to win X amount of money.
Yeah.
And that money could be used to, promote their own business, get their own TV show off the ground, whatever.
You win a competition, you get the money, you do what you want.
Yeah. And they got to the final, they won the whole show, and it was the 4 of them. And if you've heard me talk about them before, but you know who they are. But for those who haven't, there's Elliot Morgan, who's a stand-up comedian, Joe Beretta, who is a comedy writer and on-screen presence. You've got Steve Saragoza, who's I think he could technically be another stand-up comedian, but he's more of a writer as well. And then you've got Lee Newton, who does a lot of improv comedy. She was part of Groundlings, which is a huge sort of platform for comedians to jump off and get into sort of places like SNL.
These are all LA-based on-screen internet personalities.
Yeah, they're all huge in their own right.
They wear many hats.
Yeah, they're all very funny people. And they won Bring the Funny, which, like you said, is a big sort of comedy talent show type thing. They won the full thing, and then 6 days, not even a full week after they won Bring the Funny, it was announced that they were terminating the employment of Lee Newton, who is their one of the members of the show, who has been with them since SourceFed days. She was one of the original hosts. She was one of the first hosts that appeared on SourceFed when it was Philly D's SourceFed before he outsourced it to Discovery.
Yeah,
and a lot of people on the internet, including myself, were wondering why the fuck did they do this. Lee Newton was one of the OGs from SourceFed. A lot of people were assuming, did they maybe hear something from ABC saying, look, we like you three guys, Joe, Steve and Elliot.
ABC, by the way, hosted the competition
Yeah,
that they won.
ABC. The show was called ABC's Bring the Funny. They hosted the show, and they were. I assume they were putting up the money.
Yeah.
To give them.
They're producing it. It's their money.
Yeah.
Their competition.
And so a lot of people are assuming that ABC are saying, right, we like Joe, Steve and Elliot, but Lee, nah, let's get rid of her. Like she's not cutting the mustard. A lot of people are thinking that maybe there was cracks in the woodwork. Maybe before that, maybe they noticed the cracks in the perfect picture. Maybe during podcasts, during live shows, during shit like that, they were just kind of maybe trying to cut Lee out of it. Maybe she wasn't the first person they had in mind. There's so many different theories.
I find it hard to. I mean, if the ABC competition is just for money, I would say it wouldn't be an ABC thing. If there was a contract involved, I'd say maybe they have a bit of executive producing that gets involved in it. You guys are good, but this Lee girl, not so hot on the Lee girl.
Yeah. But that's the thing. She was probably, out of all of them, the one with the most comedy experience. Because for years before SourceFed, she was with Groundlings. And she continued with Groundlings for way longer than anyone else has stuck with that comedy group.
Yeah. Groundlings is basically a factory for trying to get SNL cast members.
Yeah, and she was there, but she turned it down to go and do other things. Other sort of internet-based things.
Which is ballsy.
Which is hella ballsy.
Yeah.
That is almost her saying, I have my own plan, and if it works out, I won't need SNL. Because SNL, without a doubt, is just a springboard for talent. Because you look at who SNL broke. SNL broke Eddie Murphy. SNL broke Will Ferrell. SNL broke fucking Adam Sandler, Chris Farley, David Spade. It is basically a big melting pot of talent. And they turn that down for internet shit. It's fucking ballsy. But one of the main things I wanted to talk to you about wanted to explain about was the videos that they posted in response to Lee Newton being fired. Her video was a 2.5 minute, maybe 2 minute 50 seconds video of her going, saying the same thing I did 6 days after the Bring the Funny competition. The other 3 members of the Valley Folk have decided to terminate my contract. I can't talk to you why, I can't tell you why, but let you know that I'm not abandoning you. I'll still be here. I'll still be making content on this channel. I'll be making more content on this channel for you guys because I'm not abandoning you. I'm still here. Very somber, very to the point. This is a bad point for me, but I will be picking myself back up.
And one thing you pointed out was that she has her pet cat with her the entire.
She's got her both of her dogs sitting with her, and she's just petting them in a kind of, I'm needing this right now. I need to keep calm. It's almost like you said. Was it like a kind of a therapeutic type thing?
Yeah. There's a certain feel to animal fur that is very comforting.
Yeah.
To feel as just a person, and if you're going through trauma, like losing your job with your 3 best friends, that you would naturally say, I need this.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the hardest things to watch on the back of that was the Valley Folks' response to that video. And it was just because her video was called I Lost My Job or something like that, or a Valley Folk announcement, Lee Newton or something like that. Then the response to that was a Lee Newton announcement. They popped it up on their channel, and it basically started off with them saying, like, the traditional announcement video. It's just like, "What's up, everybody? Welcome to my channel." And they say they didn't even say we got a bit of bad news, and it was literally, you may have heard by now that the Valley Folk and Lee Newton have parted ways. We're going our own creative way. Lee's going her own creative way, and we just want to know we're still going to be making content. We're still going to be making the videos that you love, but unfortunately, Lee doesn't want to be here for this. And then all of the comments were just, I'm done with this, goodbye. Like, it just sounds like yeah, pretty much. Like, I'm done. Wash my hands of this shit. It was a good run while it lasted, blah, blah, blah. And then the response to that video was so fucking horrendous. They released a 45-minute mini podcast.
Right.
Explaining, we fucked up. And in the podcast, it is very telling that 2 of the 3 members barely talk. They've got Joe in the background who tries to jump in and moderate it. By saying, we get it, you have every right to be fucked up, we understand your pain, but he keeps almost silent through most of it.
Right.
And Steve Zaragoza, who literally sits there with a hood up and black sunglasses on, and he just every so often just keeps saying, can we move on from this? Like, almost kind of, I don't want to talk about this. This is bad times. I only want to be here for the good shit. Let's get out of here. I don't want to talk about this. But if you've been following Steve Zaragoza for a while, like I have, through SourceFed, through Dynamic Banter, even through his podcast Cloverfields, when he spoke about Cloverfield movies. He's had anxiety. He's got anxiety. He's got mild depression, and he's been working through that. So maybe he doesn't process emotions all that well. But still, I've heard him be very articulate about certain subjects. To have him be that quiet and that still speaks volumes. And the one person that did talk almost incessantly and almost rambling through it was Elliot Morgan. And I think the reason why he kept talking all those, kept rambling his way through it, is because he went through a very rough divorce at the end of SourceFed when he left.
To have those two things hit at the same time, horrific.
Oh no, he left SourceFed way before it ended.
Oh right,
he left of his own accord because he wanted to do stand-up comedy. But just mere coincidence that SourceFed ended, then about 6 months to a year later he got divorced, and it was quite a messy divorce. And Lee Newton was the one to help him through it. So you could tell that he was crying, his hands were shaking through it. You could see the tears welling up in his eyes, and he was just trying to get the point across of us. We had to do this. I can only apologise for it. You've every right to hate us. But most of it was just, I think, from him going, I fucked up. We came to this decision, but I couldn't stand to do it to someone like that. And I think that's why, very, very remorsefully, he made this video. And just taking both videos and reviewing them objectively, I'd love to know what caused this. Because it's clearly fucking horrific. Because I would always assumed that this was something that they started, they would see it through to the bitter end, all four of them.
Mm-hmm.
And to have a huge part of that removed, there must be some monumental reason behind it. And if the reason is money, I'm quite happy to leave that channel. But if there is some other complex reason behind it, if they explain it in a proper way that's not just, we're going to keep growing, we're going to keep learning, we're going to continue to bring you the content despite of this, nah, that's not going to be good enough. To win the fans back now, because a lot of fans are pissed off that this has happened, they're going to have to do some major fucking legwork.
It's hard to watch a group of friends like that fall apart, and even if it is, it was all fake, like, guys, the last 6 months been hard, we actually hate each other's guts, it's not been anything like what you think it is behind the scenes, we need to get rid of this person because we're toxic or whatever. Even the idea that was an illusion for 6 months hurts fans of those, because we've all been there, we've all seen that type of thing. We've been around in geek communities long enough to know these people, these internet personalities aren't just celebrities to us, they're kind of heroes in certain ways. I can't tell you how much people from the internet inspire me. I mean, if talk about like the drinking thing, Jeff Ramsey reevaluating his life and dealing with the fact that he was kind of dependent on alcohol for a while and just never really felt like an alcoholic, but realised he always had a drink in his hand that was alcoholic in nature, and his story, his changes have inspired mine. I think you forget to understand that you do, even if it's not a real relationship, do form a relationship with people you see every day. And if there's fan backlash, it's because they realise this dynamic will not exist anymore and may have been a fraud, which means they feel cheated from their investment as a person.
And if that is definitely a thing, if they've been going for almost 2 years now with this whole, we just wanted to make this kind of content again, we didn't really care about what form it took, we just wanted to make money again, that is fucking horrific. Because imagine if I came to you and just said, I don't fucking care that it's you that I'm sitting across from, I just want to make a podcast. Now, like, my whole reason for doing this is because, like, we would banter back and forth, get hammered on Jägermeister and cola, which was
the Jäger Nukes.
The Jäger Nukes, man, they're fucking great.
Like, Jäger Nukes Jäger bombs are for kids. Jäger Nukes.
Jäger Nukes are for men.
It's like it's a stein of Jägermeister and Red Bull.
The taste of it reminded me of the Jakeman's menthol cough sweeties. Very mentally taste, but it was so good because it's the herbal liqueur. It just clears out all the gunk in your throat.
Oh yeah,
it's fucking fantastic. I was never sick when I was drinking Jägermeister. But yeah, the reason why I wanted to do the podcast is because we would make each other laugh, and I thought we've got something here. Like,
there's an innate chemistry to certain groups, and when that disappears, and it disappears hard, it's hard to watch from the outside. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's I think this has started the downfall of the Valley Folks. I don't think they can get back to where they were, because from my knowledge, seeing what Lee Newton brings to the table, she brought a lot of the writing and a lot of the funny sketch ideas that they implemented. I just don't think that they have enough clout between all three of them, given the fact that one of them is going on tour, a stand-up comedy tour fairly soon. The other two have a spotty work schedule as it is. I think they just realised that it might be time to cut strings with the Valley Folk, because Steve Zaragoza, he goes all over the fucking place doing conventions and stuff like that. Fantastic Fest and all these conventions in America. Joe Beretta's a dad, so he's got to take a lot of time off. And like I said, Elliot Morgan, he's going all over the shop doing comedy tours, doing stand-up comedy dates. I don't think, without at least having those core people there, or taking that one person away from the core unit,
what do you have left?
what do you have left? Yeah, and you could bring in guests, but that feels like putting a plaster over a leak. It might work for a bit, but the leak's going to come back out, and if you're plugging up that hole, what other holes are going to pop out because you've moved the pressure somewhere else?
And if you know anything about like internet production teams, not just like people who make videos by themselves for YouTube, like if people are actually trying to produce it in that LA style, it as soon as one person's gone, that's like a ton of work for everyone else.
Yeah.
We talk about like Funhouse, big fans of them, but they talk about the fact that every time someone goes on sabbatical, or every time someone goes on large holidays,
Yeah.
it is a huge dent to the team, but they take that hit knowing that person is coming back.
Yeah.
When you have one person going to do a stand-up tour, basically a sabbatical, coming back to then realise you've had two guys who've been working for 4 people, as in doing the work of 4 people, and then you then have to come back, and then after that there might be no plan, unless there is a plan to replace this Lee Lassie.
I don't think they can with the fans having an absolute shit fit, and I can't blame them, because if they've even just say they do replace Lee Newton with someone, no matter what, that person is always going to be the worst Lee or the Lee replacement.
Yeah,
it's never going to be the same as it was when it was the OG Valley Folk. And I think if they want to do this a service, or they want to do themselves any kind of a service, they need to just put a pin in the Valley Folk and say, right, we did this, we had 2 good years, but we can't continue on it because of how we started the Valley Folk.
And we were talking about the fact that if you were in the industry, if you knew who, or if you wanted to be involved in that process and you were keeping an eye on the Valley Folk to see if a slot opened up, if you saw the fan backlash, you would not touch it with a 10-foot pole.
Because I can imagine there would have been a few people that would have been key or lined up for a spot in the Valley Folk. Because there's people that have worked with Steve Zaragoza that do podcasts with him, people that work with, I mean, Joe Beretta has a massive amount of contacts in Smosh because he ran that company for 5 years.
Yeah.
And the Elliot Morgan, sure, he's got a few dozen comedian friends that could jump into that hole, but when they see the backlash to firing one of the key members, they're not going to go near it.
Yeah.
Understandably.
I just wonder what happened. Like, why is it that everything Smosh related, if you know what's going on with that channel and how that all ended, everything related to Smosh and the management side of that has been a fucking everything that touches has been corrupted.
Yeah, I've not seen. I heard that one of them, not was it Anthony?
One of them left, and then now the entire thing has been sold off.
Yeah, and now didn't they get sold off to one company? That company basically just said, nope, we're not having this, and then now they're just kind of in this weird free fall limbo thing.
If you want to have a look at just googling Smosh and just look for, there's opinion pieces on it. There are like 40-minute mini episodes and mini what's it called?
Deep dives.
Documentaries.
Yeah.
Don't know why I lost that word. That I've been watching tons of documentaries recently now. Don't know why I've lost
It happens,
that word.
man. I couldn't remember the word tavern at the start of the show. I've been listening to nothing but D&D podcasts for the past 3 weeks. I can't remember the fucking word tavern.
But if you look into the Smosh situation, it was basically just horrific mismanagement and corporate screwovers.
Are they
and
still
stuff like that.
a thing, or is Smosh been
The
liquidated?
Smosh brand is now in the hands of a team of like 7 people, none of whom are the original cast, and all of whom are just like these kind of bright, vibrant, like 20-somethings, early 20-somethings, that are just making these cheap, cheesy comedy videos. It doesn't remind anyone who remembers OG Smosh is outraged at the fact they've handed it over to other people. And then you realise they handed it over in one form, and then it has slowly morphed over time into this weird sketch comedy group.
Yeah, because I know that Ian, he's still involved somehow, or might not even be involved. But
I think he's out. I think Anthony left, and then Ian was somehow booted.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I mean, you got to wonder what runs through people's heads when they think, yeah, let's hand over our business, but then when they hand it over, they realise I've just given everything away.
And normally people hand it over for a fuck ton of money, in which case you say, I mean, I gotta say, if you offered me that much money, I would. Yeah. Unfortunately, they were given stock options in exchange for the company.
Jesus.
So they were bought by a bigger company. They said, "Oh, we'll give you options, like stock options in our company, if you want to do it." So that means you're now working for them for free, and you get a bit of a salary from that company if you're lucky. So yeah, the fall of Smosh So yeah, the fall of Smosh is kind of weirdly. It's just a disaster, and it's a good example of early mismanagement of internet property.
Yeah, I wasn't aware that Smosh actually went down that route, but again, if the Valley Folk goes the way I predict it to go, I think they can go. They're probably going to go the way of Smosh, or like how Sugar Pine 7 went out. They're just not going to make enough content to cover the bases, and they're not going to make enough money.
Yeah,
because I've checked the Patreon numbers.
I was going to ask about that. What's the if there's a vocal
Patreon
backlash?
numbers? Patreon numbers have dropped by at least a couple hundred.
Shit.
In the 3 to 4 days that it's happened in, which is terrifying. It must be terrifying for them.
Mm.
And I can only imagine the sheer panic that must be going through their heads when they realise we've lost this many tier whatever followers. But
there's no way of telling which tier they come from,
Yeah.
unfortunately. But I'm going to guarantee if it's at least $1 a person, probably up to about $5 per person, those are the people who would leave. I think you'd have people at higher levels, maybe 1 or 2 would leave, but then you'd have most of them saying, I'm invested. I care for these people. I don't want to abandon ship. But at the same time, that's still, even if we just say half of it's $5, most of it's $1, that is still several $100 to almost like half a grand going in the space of 4 days.
yeah, that's and they take a salary from their Patreon, so you can only imagine that things are going to fall by the wayside. Even though they're only a small 7-man team, well 6-man now, but they're a very small team. They could maybe rent out their office. Their office is probably going to have to get sold off, despite how little they do pay for the office.
Yeah.
The office is probably going to have to go. You'd be lucky if they somehow even break even this year. I think it's going to be very much an uphill struggle, but I will keep people
Did they
informed.
do a lot of those videos that have like a white background?
Yeah.
Okay.
They still can. They do a version of the white wall videos that they used to do in SourceFed, but it's more of a just they film in one set area.
Yeah.
It's just couch decorations and shit in the background.
All right, I was going to say because there's a few of those internet channels that just pump out these what you call the white wall videos, where it's just somebody against a nondescript background, so stuff can kind of fly in and off the background.
Yeah, I think that was actually started by SourceFed. To be fair,
yeah,
they did start the white wall news videos,
and it became a very easy source of revenue for a lot of companies. And I think I was expecting that to be their kind of bread and butter.
Yeah,
but I wasn't sure if they did a lot of set pieces or comedy or anything.
No,
like that.
I think they tried to. I think, for my money anyway, where they went wrong was where they tried to steer away from SourceFed too much. It's like, we're not going to do any newsy type videos, but that's where their type of comedy came from.
Reacting to live news.
News. And
is in itself its own form of comedy. I mean,
yeah,
there's so many good TV shows based on, I mean, the fucking Daily Show.
Yeah, the Daily Show. Although I heard when the Daily Show first started, it took when I said Daily Show first started, when the Daily Show handed over its reins from
Stewart to Trevor Noah.
Jon Stewart to Trevor Noah, it didn't go well. The numbers took a major nosedive. I think they're picking back up now.
It did. Trevor Noah took a while to find his feet. He's a non-American comic doing American news for comedy. Yeah. And it didn't come across well, but he's found his feet, he's found his audience, and he's got his rapport going. So he's a lot better now, and he's definitely very good at stuff that Jon Stewart I think really did. I think he's very good at he's the digital age host for the Daily Show, because he does but we see now them doing this kind of between the scenes bit where just while they're setting up one bit or while they're taking things out and moving stuff back in as part of a TV production, there would just be a camera rolling and he would just ask questions to the audience and ask them, have you seen this thing about this news? And it becomes a quick shareable clip. He's very good at those to help build the brand online, which is something I don't know if Jon Stewart did that, but I don't see him doing that in a way.
It's definitely good to differentiate yourself, because Jon Stewart I've seen as being very professional about it. Professional in the sense that we're doing it this way, and we're going to keep it doing this way, but to try and break that format and do something maybe a bit more relaxed and formal,
off the cuff,
just have Trevor Noah just walk out and talk to the audience. I think that's a pretty cool way to break away from the standard almost. Yeah,
I think he's the right host for the time, just because I think Jon Stewart put it best. This show does not deserve to have a host who's not 100% committed. I think he was just tired. He was the way to go.
I can imagine. Yeah, when you're recording a show that requires you to be that quick, because you need to react to shit quickly. You need to get stuff written quickly in response to whatever events happened that week. Yeah, because it's a weekly show.
No, it's daily.
Daily show. It was fucking called the Daily Show. I love that in Scotland that is still regarded as the fucking moron.
Just this long droning duh noise.
Yeah, you've got. I mean, that kind of solidifies the point even more. You need to have that constant conveyor belt of just, right, I can respond it this way, I can respond it that way. You got to imagine that's got to kill someone's energy.
The in-depth journalism of their writing.
So wanky. It's got to kill their energy.
No, it really does. There's a lot of people who are in that TV grind of making a daily show or even just a weekly show. I mean, John Oliver talks about the amount of research he has to do with his people to get a bit ready for television is absurd, and they will often be walking onto set writing new bits as they walk from the writer's room to like the costuming
stage
and stuff, and then into the stage. There's a
Is
lot
John
of
Oliver show still going?
Yeah, still pretty good.
Not bad.
He has his, if you're interested in seeing his longer form, like 20-minute end of the video kind of monologue rant things, he puts them up on YouTube. You get them like
I keep forgetting how
batch drop by season.
All right. So it's batch, like he does them kind of by
American-
season. This is all his monologues.
Americans get it as it comes out.
Yeah.
And then in the UK, because the rights are owned by Sky Atlantic, because it's an HBO thing,
Yeah.
they come out, and once they're done with it, and there's a couple months afterwards, they just drop the entire season's worth of end of show monologues
That's
on
not
it.
bad.
It's pretty good.
I keep forgetting that John Oliver has made it fairly successful over in America.
Yeah.
Because when you seen him on Mock the Week, no offense, guy was shit. But then again, you're going up against comedy heavyweights like fucking Frankie Boyle and Hugh Dennis, who have refined that panel show comedy to a fucking fine point.
Yes.
He was never going to be the best.
And it is very funny to see him still trying to be the John Oliver that becomes John Oliver on his show, but at the same time completely out of the element and just so rough with the whole technique. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
So there's its own special joy to that, especially now since he references the fact that no one in England knows who he is. And I'm like, yeah, pretty correct. There's a few comedy buffs out there who know who you were before, and we didn't exactly love you. I mean, you tried though.
I mean, not many. It takes fucking balls to not make it big in England and think, you know what, my brand of comedy could work well in America. And all British people, and I use the British term correctly when I say British means all the fucking Isles,
Yes.
not just England. Because someone asked me what a British accent sounds like, and I said, this is a British accent. She went, no, it's a Scottish accent. I want to hear a British accent. I went, what do you think a British accent is? And they went, someone from England. I went, no, that'd be English accent. Stupid fucking non.
There is no British accent.
Yeah, there's no single British accent.
There are several.
Unless you
thousand
physically have lived sometime in your formative years in each of the 4 British Isles. Physically not impossible.
and in many of the other boroughs.
Yeah, just like, take a bit of the accent. Physically impossible to get a British accent.
Yeah.
Yeah, but anything with the British accent is a fucking commodity over in America. Daniel Sloss is way bigger over in America than he is here. I know because I met
I'm
him.
about to say who.
Yeah, exactly.
Who?
Fucking exactly. I met him in Edinburgh and I said, what the fuck are you doing here? Genuinely, he's a pretty funny comedian. He does a lot of sort of the Bo Burnham comedy. It's like, I'm that young, no one values what I say, but I'm gonna fucking say it anyway.
Yeah.
He's not bad, not the greatest groundbreaking comedian, but he's still got a presence about him. But I met him during the Fringe about 5 years ago, and I said, "Oh, do you mind if I get a photo with you? I've seen you. I've been following your stuff on YouTube for quite a while." I was like, "Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that. I don't really get many people coming up to me and asking for photos." And I went, just out of curiosity, why the fuck are you here? And he went, I'm here doing the Fringe, man. I went, yeah, but would you not be making more money in America? And he went, yeah, probably, but I want to come back here and do the
I
Fringe.
think you caught that guy off with a bad question, and he is just like processing the answer as he says it.
No, he wanted to punch me in the fucking face. I can tell. He took the photo and he was like, yeah, one more. Just one more.
You are getting precisely 2 photos with me.
Yeah.
One of them will be me giving you the finger.
I'm pretty sure I did say sorry to him afterwards, because I had a hell of a buzz on. And I just went, that was a pretty dickheaded question to ask. And he went, it's cool, man. You're not the only person to ask me that kind of question.
You're not the only one to ask me that.
And then I probably the minute I walked away from him, I was probably just like, what a cunt.
It's bad when
Fuck
you
that guy.
hear it and you're like, shit, I shouldn't have done that. I feel bad about that one.
Yeah. When you hear it, not even when they say anything, but when you hear it played back in your head, I just said that.
Wow, I really just did that. Excellent. I feel great about
It was
myself.
like when I was at Download, and someone that we used to go to school with bumped into me, and he had just almost a bright red face on him. I asked him, I said, what's up, man? He went, I just met Herman Lee. I went, okay. You seem pretty...
Flustered.
You look pretty flush. I said, what's the problem? He went, I asked him who's a better guitar player, him or the computer. I just went, that's fucking bitchy. And he went, well,
It's not wrong.
I mean, it was one of those things that I can't argue because, well, I mean, the whole stigma about Dragon Force was it wasn't him; it was all computer effects.
Yeah.
Then when you hear them live, it just sounds like someone slapping the shit out of a guitar and expecting fucking Beethoven to happen. I wouldn't worry about it. He's probably got asked that question so many times. Went, no, he was really offended. He asked security to take me out of the place. I was like, yeah, fair.
Yeah.
You did kind of piss off a major metal celebrity.
Yeah.
Despite the fact he's in fucking Dragon Force.
If you want to see probably the best, I've just started watching this on Netflix. If you want to see the best example of British awkwardness, David Mitchell and Peep Show. I don't know how you feel about David Mitchell, but I love how fucking awkward he is. Every now and again, his panel comedy is pretty good. He's good on 8 out of 10 Cats and Big Fat Quiz of the Year.
He's good on shows like that and Would I Lie to You, and it's just
good when you see him he's an actually intelligent person
and a very angry man
and a very sharp angry comedian, and when you just put him up against somebody who's a complete idiot and you just watch him go to town on someone with a clearly lower intellect. His
wife is infinitely hotter than he deserves.
I've not seen it.
Victoria Coren Mitchell. She's not fucking model hot, but she's still pretty attractive.
Yeah.
You look at her and think, how the fuck? What lines of attraction?
How did
forced
you
two together? Then you listen to her talking, you listen to him talking. You're the same person. You're quite literally just the same people in different bodies and in different genders. That's how this works.
I just started watching Peep Show. I've just done the first couple episodes, and just it's the fact that David Mitchell's character is constantly reading about World War II, and his entire thought process is references to the Battle of Stalingrad and German pushes into the Rhine and how he's going to and he's not even like referencing it because he believes in Nazi ideology or anything. He just is obsessed with World War II and doesn't understand that's a bad thing to be obsessed with. Yeah. It's just not right, and he's like, I don't know why I can't get a date, and in his head he's going, this is worse than Stalingrad. Not that bad really, don't have to eat anyone that's my neighbour or anything, but still pretty bad.
What was the sketch comedy show that they did?
Mitchell and Weblook.
Yeah,
fucking hysterical.
The Mitchell and Weblook has one of my favourite sketches of all time, and that's the Are We the Baddies sketch.
It's
they're dressed in the full SS officer uniform. And just, are we the bad guys? It's so fucking good.
It's an overplayed meme now, but see when you watch that show and you realise that's in episode 1, and it's like a close to an opening bit. You're like, oh, this is going to take some risks. It's worth it though.
Yeah, that came from the almost the renaissance of British comedy, because we had TV shows like the Mitchell and Weblook, we had the Peep Show, IT Crowd, we had I don't know, In-Betweeners.
I'm a big fan of In-Betweeners.
Yeah, we had all this good smart comedy because
we say smart comedy, but at the same time, only thing I can remember for the In-Betweeners is the movie. They go to Ibiza. One of them has a 20 quid note shoved up his ass just in case he needs to eat it for emergencies. And he gives it to a guy so he can snort coke. he takes the note away. There's a wee nugget of shit on his nose. So smart comedy.
Maybe excluding In-Betweeners, but there was a lot of.
I'm just remembering In-Betweeners bits now. And then when they got the camping site, I
just remember the bit in In-Betweeners 2 when they get stranded in the desert and Neil has to piss on all of them.
I just remember the punching a fish bit from the end of season 1. That's fucking brilliant, just because it comes out nowhere and it's so visceral.
Yeah,
it's a moment of a guy. There's a fish on the boat. Nobody knows what to do. Neil,
that's in the series, isn't it?
Neil, the big dumb guy, just punches the fuck out of a fish on a boat.
Yeah.
When everyone's around them watching and no one has any idea how to react to it. The awkwardness of it is fantastic.
You remember in the first In-Betweeners movie where they kill a boy? There's a boy running next to the pool, and I think one of the characters, what's the guy that keeps saying completed it?
I can't remember.
It's either him or one of the guy with the glasses. He's trying to prove that he's a badass.
Will,
he's trying to prove that he's a badass, and he pushes a boy into a swimming pool.
Yeah,
but they never show the boy. They never show the boy getting at the swimming pool. So a lot of people have just taken it to they killed the boy. Like even the creator of the show, Ian K. Morris, said, "All right, no, he gets at the swimming pool. We swear we didn't kill a child in the show."
I think it's the there's one scene where they go to a caravan for the weekend, and they're all trying to get laid at a caravan where everyone's parents are there. And it gets really fucking creepy because all the people there are underage.
Yeah.
And they're trying to hit on kids, and you realize that they're actually hitting on kids.
Yeah.
But at one point, one of them goes into one of them gets shagged in the back of the car, and it's a tiny little car, and he just says, they're driving back, and he goes, "Why is the seat wet?" He goes, oh yeah, fucking a shot of load in the chair.
And
it's just like, oh, it's fucking everywhere. Again, we're saying like it's a renaissance of smart British comedy.
Yeah.
It was crude as shit as
Yeah.
well. It was fantastic.
It still came out right at that time where we were in high school and we were like, I can relate to this. This makes a lot of sense.
It is lads on tour comedy.
Yeah,
And it's
like the Pussy Patrol, all that.
Pussy
shit.
Patrol.
I was fucking sick of that.
I do remember seeing, because it came out, part of the first movie was that they were going away on holiday and they got t-shirts with Pussy Patrol written on it, and it was basically a rip-off of a Warner Brothers character with a cock
Yeah,
out.
Pink Panther with a massive stoner.
And they walk out, and that's the t-shirt they all go to wear when they're on holiday. And somebody had a replica of that t-shirt and wore it several years later, and then Reddit did not understand the joke. It was fucking brilliant. Everyone's like, can't believe someone wears this offensive t-shirt. Like, you have some TV to watch. You have some great British television
Just
to watch.
don't watch the American version. I think the American version lasted an episode.
They made an American. Oh yeah, they did. Oh shit.
Where Neil is, imagine Ed, not Eddie from Ed, Ed and Eddie, but with hair and probably a bit fatter.
Oh.
That guy's exactly how he played.
Neil.
Not Neil. Who's the loudmouth one that keeps saying he completes everything?
Jay.
Yeah, James Buckley.
Yeah, James Buckley.
They just majorly missed on all the main characters, and it's just a horrible show. Do not give the American in-betweeners the light of day.
Definitely give the British one a go.
British one you need to watch because it's smart British comedy.
It's hilarious and horrifying at the same time.
Yeah, it's very relatable as well.
I'm going to push us on because I've realised how late it is and you need to get... Yeah, it's almost...
Yeah.
Yep. So I'm going to push us on to our...
The showstopper.
Showstopper. After just, I quickly say, go see Weathering with You when it comes out in cinema. I saw it. Anime movie, fucking amazing. Makoto Shinkai is on top form beyond belief. It comes out... I saw an advanced screening for Scotland Loves Anime. Yeah. Major cinema release is in January next year. Definitely worth a watch. Shinkai is on form.
Yeah. Just a quick side before we get into it. I promise I'll try and make this as quick as I can. But a couple of friends of mine, they were going to the Picture House Cinema in Edinburgh to go and watch Promare, the new
Premiere, the new Trigger film,
the new Studio Trigger movie, which looks fucking awesome. Yeah. But a friend of mine got there 5 minutes late. Showed the ticket, got them to scan through, and they said, "Sorry, you can't go in. The film's already in progress." I said, "I'm 5 minutes late. Come on, can you not just let me in?" He said, "No, sorry." And I said, "Did I get a refund?" He said, "No, it's your own fault. You weren't here on time." I was like, "Fuck that guy. I don't care if that guy's having a bad day at work or anything.
That's horrific.
Still, fuck that guy."
I showed up. What was it? 10 minutes late to Joker. All I did was miss 10 minutes of credits.
Yeah.
And that's the thing is, when you do Scotland Loves Anime, there's an intro by, I've got a book over there by a guy called Jonathan Clements. He is I didn't realise when I went to see Dragon Ball Super several years ago, when they did the Battle of the Gods movie, he was there, and there was just a guy doing like an intro. I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, he's giving a good introductory like speech, but at the same time, like, who the fuck is this guy? Turns out he's a pretty damn good authority on anime. he wrote that book, which is certified by the British Film Institute. Pretty good fucking authority on anime. And
so
he's...
Check out Jonathan Clements, but we got a showstopper.
This was actually a news story that when we were doing the text to each other notes for the show, I said, I have a weird story for you for the showstopper. It involves a family of Dutch people. The thing is...
Can it beat the family of blue people that you showed me last time? I'm still showing people that.
I don't think,
look at the blue people.
When you look into the science of the blue people, it gets better and better and better. So it becomes more fascinating. Like, no, this can't happen. But yes, it can happen.
It can and has.
This is just from one scientifically weird family to one religiously weird family. There was a family of 6 people found to be living in the basement of a Dutch farm, waiting for the apocalypse. And
how long were they there? Because that's got a smell if they're there for over a week.
9 years.
Motherfucker. They're living in piss and shit.
This was basically happened when a family of 6, 5 of them were youths, aged 18 to 25. They've not really been named publicly as far as I can tell.
Okay.
And a father, who is known only as Joseph B., who's a 58-year-old man. Mm-hmm. And initially, I need to know...
He was 49 when he started this fucking venture.
Which is about 25 years too old to be considering joining what is basically a doomsday cult, let alone leading one. So he he was found to be holding the rest of them in captivity for 9 years, which counts to, there's also different, not quite kidnapping charges, but detaining someone against their will. He's been charged with a lot of those, so he's been getting 6 of those thrown at him.
I can imagine.
They basically had a farm that they rented, somehow paying for it, I guess, that they rented just outside of an Austrian town. I think the comment was, he's Austrian, it was in Holland. That's where this is all taking place. The town is called Runerwold, and this was just a breaking news story when it happened. It's been about a month since then. So far, it seems like everything's been confirmed. They were unsure as to whether or not the man was the father of the children, but it seems that he is. And he was waiting for the apocalypse to come after grieving for his wife. So he basically got it into his head. The apocalypse is coming. Time to go hide in a Holland farm somewhere, I guess.
I mean, when you think about it, it's clear. It makes clear and valid sense. The guy is not completely butt fucking sane.
What I found interesting was the oldest kid ran away from home and just sprinted to the nearest town and ran into a cafe, apparently looking dishevelled and a fucking complete mess, to ask and beg for help. And we were like, okay, where do you live? This isn't some remote cabin in the woods shit. They were 200 metres from the nearest town. And you see the farm, there was a river running next to it. People apparently just walk there for fun every day. And yet somehow there was a family of 7 people hiding in a basement, sustaining themselves off of crops and animals that were grown on the farm. It's weird. They rented the entire farm.
Did they leave the basement of the farm to collect the crops and animal products?
By the sounds of things, it was only the father who left. He was the only one who would go outside. That's how he controlled access.
Right, okay.
Because he didn't want the kids just running out in the planet. In the case of the apocalypse just happening to them all.
What nationality were they? Dutch?
Austrian family. So this is basically
stay in the basement.
What is it with Austrians and basements?
I don't fucking
Fritzl family all over again.
Stay in the basement. If the radiation turns me into a monkey, you shall survive in my name.
It just absolutely. When I saw that story, I was like, that can't be real.
No, it can't be.
Every time I googled it, turns out it's still real. Jesus Christ. Austrians are weird, man.
Did no one check? Was Wi-Fi not a thing?
Apparently he just
no, he definitely, think about it, the logical conclusion would be he turned the Wi-Fi off. The Wi-Fi was bringing the apocalypse.
The Wi-Fi is up. I mean, you believe in an apocalypse that's impending and imminent, you're gonna basically just blame it on everything modern.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
just start smashing everything. This keyboard is going to cause the apocalypse. Just write Skynet on everything, watch his head explode.
Don't worry, I'll save us just beating the fuck out of a toaster.
Fuck you. Who's your enemy? Breville.
Breville sounds a bit too close to devil for my liking. In the bin with ye.
Nescafe sounds too satanic to me.
So with that hilarious showstopper in mind of creepy Austrian farmhouses, or creepy Dutch farmhouses inhabited by creepy Austrian bastards.
Look out the window. Surely when you see people Dutch, when you see people walking past going, oh look, there's a family in there.
He maintains the lie for 6 months. Understandable. 9 years. 9 years.
Yeah.
6 teenage boys, don't question that.
Yeah.
What is wrong with those kids?
They were getting beaten.
Oh yeah.
If they ask questions, Dad punched them in the jaw. That's what happened. They're all just bruised and mutated. Dad never lets us see the light.
I'm
impressed.
impressed.
Have some food. This is bacon. What is bacon? Does it hurt me?
Does it hurt me like Daddy?
That is not the episode title.
It is now.
It is not.
Looking for an episode title. It needs to be Does it hurt me like Daddy?
Nope. I am putting my foot down.
Right. Well, that is it. I've been Colin Graham.
I've been Dom Anderson.
And we've been talking Gibberpish. Feel free to reach out to us at Gibberpish on Twitter or gibberpishpodcast@gmail.com.